I guess I'll go with full high def. That's what all the kids are doing.
There it is.
Hooray!
Is she Supergirl or Superwoman?
She looks super awesome. That's all I can say.
I have to agree on that. Like that is the best costume I've seen in a long time.
I'm not sure what.
Sorry, try to figure out everything I'm supposed to click. All right, so let's get this thing started, I guess.
Click number 1.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, everybody. Am I showing? No, I'm not showing yet.
Hey.
Hello.
I'm the Flash. And Yo-Yo is the other Flash. And Carrie, I guess you're Super Lady.
I'm Super Lady.
Why is this still showing?
Click show again on it. Is that an overlay? There you
Hey,
go.
Wow.
Look, there's faces now.
I like
Hey,
this
everybody.
setup.
I've never seen us this way before.
No.
This is interesting. So as you notice, we are, down a Leo today, but of course we do have
Brandon.
And a Brandon. Though Brandon said he might try to join us.
Yes.
So
Hopefully.
we might be up a Drew.
Oh. So that'd be nice. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
Hey, look, and he's got a mustache. So that's like 2 in 1.
You all suck, except Yo-Yo. I've never met him, so he can't suck because I don't know this. But the beaker-looking guy, and and the cyber goth chick, both of you lame.
I can own that.
We can't all be true,
No.
Yes, indeed, you can't.
Although I'm thinking of doing it one day. My wife would probably kill me, though, with that stash. She'd just be like, look, it's got to go.
She would be like, why am I going to marry Carrot Top trying to be a porn star?
I wish I had Carrot Top's physique. That dude's a monster.
He's terrifying.
I agree. That ginger,
Jack for his own good.
He is.
There's him.
That's all natural, of course.
Who's the snowboarder that looks kind of like him?
Shaun White.
Shaun White.
Yeah, and then Axl Rose isn't really muscular, but they all kind of did that creepy thing. They have the red-headed, like.
Axl Rose is the opposite of muscular.
Yes, he is. But they all had that kind of transformation he went from being like a stick figure.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. See,
he
Carrot
used
Top
to go
is
like this all the time. Then he stopped, and now he's just he's now fronts for AC/DC when they go on tour.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. What's his name? God, why can't I think of the front man's name? Anyways, he's gone deaf, so he can't front the band anymore. Not deaf, well, pretty much deaf, but Brian, what is
Johnson?
his fucking... Yeah. Fucking, it's funny because like he just goes off beat all the time.
Oh,
it's like bloody eye.
Oh yeah, happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy
It
Wednesday.
is.
Mid Week Geeks.
Oh yeah, welcome to the show.
Hi, Karen. That is my sister who is watching.
Oh, nepotism.
Of course, that's why she was showing you. You grow up, you get to be able to see, have your comments posted on here. I mean,
look at that.
There's got to be some perks to grow up around me. So, well, technically, I guess I grew up around her. That's my older sister. So,
no, Carrot Top though, he's the enemy to epileptics everywhere because he's so. Back in the day when I was doing stand-up comedy, I was like, I challenged him to a fight, but I wasn't that high up on the list of stand-up comics. But I'd go to his website. And it was like every single page of his website was strobing with different, like colors here. And
maybe he knew you were coming for him. Just like, F that.
If I blind her,
knock her to the ground.
Yeah.
All right. Drew,
so
what happened?
Yeah,
we already lost you. Oh, he's not there. No. Oh, there he is.
I'm making dinner. I'm listening. Leave me alone.
What are we having? What are
you sharing with us?
We have fish or we have chicken or fish. And that's right. Yo-Yo had lasagna.
So has anybody watched anything interesting this week?
I'm finishing up 1923. Oh, Yellow Jackets also. I haven't caught the newest episode. If any people are watching that, that's really...
not to do a shameless plug, but I just watched a wonderful episode on Splash Pages. They had a lot of great guests and whatnot. And there was this young upstart named Jar Jar Jeremy Courtney who came in like a wrecking ball from Miley Cyrus's wardrobe and just obliterated the questions.
You guys are hitting me with way too many compliments. I'm gonna
well, because Yo-Yo, this guy is always like, oh, I want to feel like I'm part of the team. I want to feel like I belong. I would do things and everything. And then he just comes in like Mark Wahlberg in that movie where he was just like, hi, I'm 30 years old. I should be a football player. Fuck you. I'm going to do it. And Jeremy's just like, oh, I got some questions. I did this research. I wrote all this down. I'm like, well, we're all going to leave because it's now the Jar Jar Jeremy show and we're just guests. So fuck us, right? And he's like, oh, did I do good? I was like, yes, you win all the pot cookies. Go move on.
No. You guys, we're a team, and it worked out that way because we're all together on it. Like, especially, you should have seen Drew. Drew is the comedic relief. Like, he was pumping iron the whole thing. No.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, totally. Listen, that was, I had to wait. Jeremy, you have to understand, all good comedy is timing.
I should have told you guys all about the khaki crew thing beforehand so we could all dress in khaki and just be like, hey, we want to be part of the crew, man.
So, Yo-Yo, to give you context to all the inside jokes so you don't feel like the proverbial third wheel, a.k.a. what we call Splash Pages, the carry. We had Chris Showerman, who I had to remind these gentlemen 5 times who his name was before the show. And then they're like, oh, I got it right. 5 times. His wife, who's a producer. Chris is known primarily for being George in George the Jungle 2. So that's how most people know him. And look, it's Brandon.
He actually has like a million other credits. So like small roles, but like...
Yes. It was very big.
He even pulled out the Super Troopers.
No small roles, only small actors.
That's
very wise, so powerful, Brandon.
Boston, right?
That's what they say in show business.
Oh, and Jeremy's questions are like, so when you were in 6th grade, there was this girl sitting behind you in class, and she wrote you a note, and what did it say?
Oh, those are the best questions.
That? These are kind of like in depth. He's just looking at you like,
Narwhal.
how did you even hear about this.
All I did was I watched other interviews the guys in, and then I listened to the stories that he talks about, and then I watched the ones that really like pique his interest.
Then I go to benverified.com. I type in
Yes.
his name, get his address, find out when the last 3 places he lived was.
I
Who he's
tracked down
related
his
to.
yearbook. And
It
that's
Climb under
It
his
only
bed.
cost me a trial for a week. I cancel within 6 days. No bigs.
Yeah.
They use different email addresses every time. So.
See, now everybody knows.
Ah, nuts.
So,
So Brandon, how are you doing?
I am here. That's the best it gets right now.
virtual hug, my friend. Bam.
Thank you. It's just
I
it's
don't
been
know what's going on, but hey.
it's just it's been a. I mean, honestly, like I'll put it out there. Like, I've been dealing with a considerable amount of pain in the past like 2 weeks, and I went to I had to go leave a sample, have a sample drawn at the specialist today. Got that done quick, fast, and in a hurry. It's only a few minutes from where I live. I work from home. And then I got a phone call, and they were like, "Yeah, we don't know anything, so just drink plenty of water and take some Tylenol." I'm like, that is not something I needed anyone in your fucking office to tell me. Like, I am wildly aware. And I said, "But hey, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks. I got," and then they're like, "Oh, you can go to the hospital if you want." I'm like, I spent 5 hours at the emergency room in the hospital on Monday for pain. And thankfully I am signed up to the portal that this hospital has for patients. And I got my results on the portal and then waited 25 more minutes and still no one came out at any point. And I was like, yeah, I've been here for almost the entirety of a workday after I worked all day. So, yeah, I'm a fat guy and you need to get some chicken in me. I'm going home. And I told the young woman at discharge, she's like, "Can you just wait till like one of the nurses come out?" And I was like, "No, I cannot. I've reached my quota of waiting. I that's why I came to you. I felt like this was the courtesy, And so I go, I call there today, my specialist today, and I'm like, "Yeah, hey, I'm just not doing really well. I really need to get to the bottom of this." And they say, "Come on down, draw a sample, leave a sample, all that stuff." They call me and tell me that, and I go, "Yeah, you know what? For all it's worth, I guess I could do that, or I could just, go walk in front of a fucking bus. Do me a favor. Don't call me again with this bullshit." And I hung up. 20 minutes later, I have what amounts to like half the fucking police department, fire department, and ambulances out in front of my house because my doctor's office called them saying that I seemed suicidal.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my God.
Like, you've never spoken to an angry patient before? Like a frustrated patient? Come on. Like, it was.
No, that's
and when
covering
I told
their
them,
ass.
what's that?
That's covering their ass. Just, we're just making sure he,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
But even so, I mean, the cops were, as soon as I opened the door, I was just like, I know
Hello.
exactly why you're here. And they were like, "So what happened?" And I just laid it all out for them. They were like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, we get it." And they're like, "You just got to be careful, even though we get that you were angry, and sometimes it's just hard not to pop off at the mouth. You didn't threaten anybody or anything like that, but you have to understand there's certain things you can't say, especially to a medical professional, because they have to act on it." I was like, "Yeah, no, I get it. It's like loudly asking my friend for lip balm while I'm at the airport, but then somebody else only hears balm, and they're like, 'Oh my God, he's gonna kill us all.' It's like, no, I fucking chapstick. That's all I meant." So,
yeah, but Brandon, you can't say bomb on an airplane.
hmm?
I'm
You can't say bomb on an airplane.
You can't say bomb on an airplane. Bomb.
Bombadil.
Actually, that reminds me of a fun. Guys, can you stop? I understand you're very active, but I'm trying to tell a story here. Sorry, I was talking to my chinchillas. They're deciding tonight is exercise night. So that's the thunder in the
Those house
background.
thunder
It's not just. Oh no! Listen, these little fuzz buddies. They're just. Here, these guys.
I never even knew you had
Okay.
chinchillas. You think you know, guy?
Yeah. See, like little gym rats, literally.
What's really fucked up is in like 9 more months when Drew's like, "You guys want to see my new chinchilla slippers?"
How dare you? And to think I cared about where your story was going, and the twist ending, where it's very a Shyamalan moment. I was like, his name was Mr. Glass. Okay, got it. That was a split.
Yeah, it was a very frustrating evening.
Thank
Say
you
the
for
least,
joining.
I guess, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've been uncharacteristically enraged since all of that went down, and I was just like, I really want to come on the show and talk about some of the stuff that we saw occur over the past like 7 days, but I was like, I don't know if I'm in the right headspace for this, and I finally was like, all right, I think I can do this. I mean, the fucked up thing is I still haven't had anything to eat, so chocolate milk will have to do it for a while.
I hear your noise, man.
Everybody, let Brandon finish his sentences. Do not cut him off. Like just.
Hey, listen, man, we're cool in the gang as long as you don't fucking start mouthing off to me in an indignant, very serious manner and have some hidden racist shit in your past that you're trying to pass off as other shit, then we're golden.
Oh no. Oh, absolutely not. From the get-go, I've always said, fuck Twilight, fuck 50 Shades of Grey, all that stuff. So,
I thought you were supposed to be like, from the get-go, I've always been upfront about my racism and bigotry.
Nope.
Everybody who knows me knows when they see Drew the Marshmallow, that guy right there, he wears pointy-headed sheets with eye holes in them.
Well, they think Ghostbuster, and they're like, oh, that kind of ghost. I was like, oh boy.
Guys, I think this is the wrong Ghostbusters meeting.
Ooh, I this is where you should have read the Evite. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I do a funny story, hospital-wise, something that actually happened to me after a convention. If I can tell that story, kind of add a little levity here. Just
I feel like I added a pretty good amount of levity altogether, but yeah, you go nuts. You want to go nuts? You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Listen, I got cashews and peanuts. I'm ready, man. Let's do this. I'm about to make a trail mix up in here. So I was at a convention, and me and my friends, we were doing that after con dinner plan. So we're all walking to the car, and my friend was parked below when we were walking up, and he jumped a curb, and he botched it. I don't know why. He jumped a curb, he botched it, he fell, and his face hit the slant of the parking garage, and then he slid. So yes, thank you, Brandon. That's exactly the reaction. So when he got up, he thought it was fine, and then as we keep walking, we watch this side of his face start to swell. So naturally, when we got to my friend's car, which is only a level or 2 up, the first things I said after looking at him was like, okay, this is not my fault. Okay. I did exactly that. So his face was swelling horribly. So it was like, we have to take you to a hospital because you might have like a concussion or something. Like you look like you're trying to cosplay the Elephant Man right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, at worst, you have a concussion. At best, you look like the newest Dick Tracy villain, Fuckface.
Exactly. So I was like, all right, Fuckface, let's go to the hospital. So I'm walking with him, and it's fun, and I'm still in cosplay. Like I'm dressed like Burt Macklin from Parks and Rec. So I have I have the tie and everything, and I got like this fake blazer that says FBI on back to my girlfriend, and we walk to 2 emergency rooms. He doesn't, of course, have his ID or insurance on him. Like, God damn it, this is gonna be horrible. So we finally find somewhere, and we go in, and everything. these people must have been so tired and overworked. This is before COVID, so they were moderately stressed. They actually thought I was FBI. These
Then you open your mouth
bringing
and
in
they're
a
like,
perk.
"Oh, never mind."
well, because they were like, this one was like, "Oh, come on, man, we got to get this guy in. This guy's work with the FBI. This is probably a wanted fugitive or something." And I'm just like, "Okay, do I play this and get in trouble?"
Yes.
But, I mean, eventually she realized, I was like, "Okay, that's sewn fabric. That's no official thing. Like, he isn't showing a badge. He's just handling this." And I'm still dressed this whole time. So finally my friends show up and everything. And we're waiting there to have a doctor look at him like you. But he was on a gurney and he was patched up. He looked like he had been in such a horrible fight. And the entire time we were there, we were there over 2.5 hours. All we did was post Facebook, like a Facebook chain of what could have happened to him. Like theories. We were like, what could have got with my friend such a great ass beating? And we just made like 150 possibilities. And some people were like, "You are horrible." I'm like, "No, we're his friends. There's a difference." So that's
if I were horrible, I would have made him tuck and roll out of the back of the car and then said, "Good luck, asshole," and then made my way home.
Exactly. So
and waited with them.
But instead, I'm sitting here talking shit and taking photos and posting them because I'm his friend.
Exactly. Exactly. It's very out cold of you. It's like we do that because we're your friends.
These guys just do nothing but talk shit and insult you. I mean, sure, we do the same thing, but we say it right in front of your face. Why?
Right next to you.
We're your friends.
Thank you, Pigpen. He's very stupid. So that's my one hilarious hospital story.
I saw the guy that plays Pigpen in a show just the other day. It blew my fucking mind.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he was I mean, Dara and I just started watching the show Yellow Jackets on Showtime.
Jeremy,
everybody's just talking about that.
Oh yeah, I've had it on my list for like a year and a half. But
weird shit, Brandon. Weird shit.
Oh yeah, I mean, so far, absolutely. I mean, I'm getting like a Lord of the Flies, Heather's Lost kind of thing going on.
Oh, Carrie, you should have watched this show. It sounds right up your alley.
What's that?
No, what you're describing, it sounds like something Carrie would be like, "Oh my god, that's what my."
It's really good so far.
You went to my high school reunion.
Reunion?
Yeah, but
that dude though, he plays the young version of Juliette Lewis's character's father.
Oh, okay.
Early in the first season, he gets his head fucking blown off with a shotgun.
Talk about a shocker moment.
Yeah, but I was sitting there looking at him. I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Because he's got like a goatee and he's got salt and pepper going on, short hair,
right?
But bright blue eyes, and I was like, and it killed me because I went to IMDb, and this is the way it normally goes. ADHD brain. I'm typing in Yellow Jackets, and I get ready to go to the episode, and just as I'm ready to click on full cast, I go, "Son of a bitch, it's Pigpen."
Yeah.
And Dara was like, "What?" I'm like, "It's Pigpen from Out Cold." And she goes, "Oh my god, it is." I was like, "Yeah." Once again, thanks for nothing, IMDb.
Yeah, you should have seen him. It's like, "Hey, Pigpen, carpe diem." Yeah, seize the carp. Seize the carp, Pigpen. What? Ow!
That's my motto. Oh, that and everybody Wang Chung tonight.
See, that's such an underrated 2000 movie, and I miss that era because
that's the movie that introduced me to Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah,
and I was so sorely disappointed in the people offering him roles after The Hangover because, like, The Hangover is okay. I was never like a gigantic fan of that movie, but Zach Galifianakis is so much better than the character he portrayed in that movie. Like his ability to act and just be caustically funny.
Right.
It's actually kind of cool because if you see the half-hour special he did for Comedy Central years back, it's at the same time he was filming Out Cold.
Oh my
God.
God.
Carolyn DeVernus, who plays oh my, is it Juliet? No. What's the the French girl?
Oh shit. Yeah, I know. Kara? No.
No, her name is Carolyn.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was also on the show Wonder Falls on
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
and
stuff. Yeah.
but
Her.
yeah, if you watch that Comedy Central special that he did, the half hour,
Is she in the credits?
she's in like the front row.
Oh my
She
god.
clearly went to see him perform this special because they were shooting Out Cold at that same time.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. Yeah. Anna was her name.
Right.
Okay.
But
yeah.
So good. Every time I hear Anytime by Eve Six, I'm just like, I'm just that, and I'm not gonna lie, when Island in the Sun comes on, the two songs of the movie.
Hip hip.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
I mean, there's other songs too. Maybe she thinks I know something.
but
it's a lot of early emo-ish kind of shit in like 2001.
yeah, but it was just, I just missed that dumb fun movies of the early 2000s.
Well, that was I've always seen it as such. It's very clear to me. You realize it's just a goofy ski comedy version of Casablanca, right?
Oh, absolutely. Come on.
Main character's name is Rick. He meets a girl, falls in love with her. They have like essentially a tryst, but she has to go back to her real life. He's left to go back to his. And all of a sudden, he's in the bar that is essentially his, like where he and his friends are always hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And she walks in one day, and he even says, in all the bars and all the ski resorts, she has to walk into mine. And he becomes aware of her presence because she goes to Luke, played by Zach Galifianakis, and she's like, play the song. And it's Island in the Sun by Weezer. And as soon as Rick hears it, he's like, I thought I told you never to play that. And then he sees her. And I mean, the whole thing in the father, played by Lee Majors, he straight up is supposed to be the Nazis, which I thought was very cleverly done, because he shows up with his his French stepdaughter, and his
I think
his Eastern European stepdaughter. Was it like Scandinavian, sweet Austrian or whatever, but Scandinavian,
right?
And I mean, it's supposed to be very representative of the areas that Nazi Germany had taken over at that point in time. And then he even says to Rick, he's like, but hey, look out, I got a Russian trainer next. And it's like, oh, Russia? That's a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
And of course, by the end of the movie, dude goes down goes Frazier.
Mm-hmm, indeed. And it's a great dumb movie. One of those fun movie nights when you're just like, let's watch this.
I watch it every winter.
Sounds like a very intellectual dumb movie, though.
Oh,
with the breakdown that you.
It depends. Well, I think it has levels. Like if you operate at a higher level, you'll get a lot more out of it. But if you're looking for like brainless comedy, that'll fill that niche too.
That and Grind, 100%.
My first thought is Futurama.
Yeah, 100%. It's multifaceted.
Yeah,
I mean, there's quite a cast in it. I mean, it has Thomas Lennon, Willie Garson, David Denman, Zach Galifianakis, Jason London, Lee Majors,
the David Cole, the Todd Packer from the Office, the guy who was
David Denman.
Thank you.
Yep. Who was actually my number one dark horse pick to play Superman for several years. Especially after seeing him in the movie Big Fish, because he was like completely clean shaven with like the old school gentleman's haircut kind of thing. And I was like, dude, you put that guy in a gym for a couple months and he would look exactly the way that Superman is, like corn-fed Kansas boy.
Mm-hmm.
And then funny enough, I mean, he kind of aged out of that, but then he ended up playing Brandon's father in the movie Brightburn, which is, of course, a twisted take on the Superman mythos.
Right.
Oh, I wanted to see that.
It's there's some
Not as-
logic leaps that take place in that movie that I had issue with in the theater. I was like,
Yeah, Carrie, it kind of goes to the evil Superman a little too quickly. Like
Yeah.
you could have built up to it a little bit better. But
yeah,
I mean,
they didn't make you care about the kid, about Brandon Bane. But also there were certain things in it, like the sheriff comes to a conclusion that makes no sense whatsoever based on something he sees, which he had never seen before. And I'm trying to say it without giving it away because you haven't seen it. But like when I saw it in the theater, I was like, all right, you guys are lucky I paid for this because otherwise I would fucking walk out right now. Like it was just such a glaring mistake that it completely ruined the rest of it for me.
and it had some cool scenes in there. Like definitely some of his kills were very cool. But it was one of those where cool moments are again not enough to save a movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Although there was a fun little Easter egg at the end with Super.
Yes.
By James Gunn.
And I've always talked to people. I was like, you want a realistic story, like a really watch Super, and then I was like, and then get traumatized by Super because it is just a fucked up movie.
It's I always thought it was more sad than anything else. By the time I got to the end of Super, I'm like, oh
yeah, you know
good
what?
for you, buddy. Oh, it's James Gunn. Stars Rainn Wilson.
Nathan Fillion's in it, and then all like the James Gunn, like Nathan Fillion's in it. Michael Rooker is in it.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon is Liv Tyler was the love interest.
What's that?
Liv Tyler, was she the girl?
Yes.
Right. And
yes, she was the girlfriend or wife or whatever.
Yeah, and then Elliot Page was the very eager sidekick to
I've seen that. Okay.
Yeah, he's in red and he keeps bashing his villains with a wrench.
Cut up crime. That's his
wrench.
His thing.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this, and then it took some moments. I'm like, oh wow, this got dark. I was like, okay, but there is one thing that I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around that Jeremy we talked about on the show yesterday. Kraven the Hunter is still a thing.
Oh,
and that has been announced.
I'm with you, Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon, I felt.
I'm sure all 4 of the characters' fans are super pumped that they're making a fucking movie.
Right, and then of course Aaron Johnson, who is like, oh yeah, it's gonna be great, and it's gonna be.
It's gonna be fantastic. It's rated R, so we're gonna have all kinds of blood and guts and violence. It's gonna be. You're gonna have Spider-Man in it? No, but it's gonna be rated R though.
It's rated R.
Rated R.
Kraven the Hunter is going to be the good
not
guy.
Gonna have Spider-Man in it.
No, but Yo-Yo, that's the same thing I thought. I was like, here's a great question. Why?
What about the character makes they feel like, oh, we could
and then
a movie for one thing.
To answer that question, Yo-Yo, I would say because Sony owns the rights to him.
Yes.
They didn't learn from Morbius.
Nope.
No, sir. They didn't learn from Morbius when they should have learned from Morbius about Morbius regarding Morbius. I mean, they were like, oh no, it's a box office bomb, but people are making memes. They're making memes. Re-release it.
Brandon, who was the main character of that movie again? Michael
Morbius?
Okay, good. I just wasn't aware.
It's Morbin time.
Morbius.
I was trying to put together something with like, I am not Craven.
No, not Craven.
I'm definitely Craven.
Is Craven? Because I mean, did they think of that when they named him? Like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I go out and hunt things. But Craven is like the.
But he doesn't
you're a
go out and
coward.
hunt things.
Okay,
It's
so
like
the
everything I've read
Craven
with him,
hunts.
he's just like, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I'm a big badass.
Yeah,
No,
pretty much.
He's actually going after poachers in this, though. So, like,
Yeah,
but
why?
I don't understand the logic at all.
because
I have the feeling
if you
had
keep
the
asking why and plucking at that thread,
they have the vaguest idea of the character, and they're just like, this we'll do whatever else.
Look, this
yeah.
is what he looks like.
Yeah,
Somewhat.
this guy definitely is
Dog the
against
bounty
poachers.
and then they even said like, oh yeah, we're going to include reference to the famous lion suit and everything, and I'm just like, okay, well, yes, but he can't wear it because obviously the animal rights. But excuse me, sir. I guess you're going to be craving a restraining order. Okay.
it's faux lion. It's spelled Lyin.
Yeah, but I just see this at the end. At the end of the movie, Craven is like, all right, I've taken care. I've saved the wildlife. What next? And then, Vulture's going to show up and like, all right, so we're putting together a team. How do you feel about spiders? And I'm going to be like,
I had a
Just
nightmare
throw something at the
last
screen
night
and hope
that I
it
was
hits
stuck in
Sony-
an
Sony
elevator
executive.
between the movie Morbius and the movie Craven, and I had a gun with one bullet in it.
you take yourself out so you don't have to pin
Oh,
them.
immediately! It was the shortest dream ever. I was like, boom! Oh, okay, I'm up now. I guess.
all
I'm
right,
gonna
no,
have a bagel.
no. Actually, Brandon, I got the best thing. What you do is you summon Mephisto, make the deal, get more bullets, and then you go.
Well, they are
Look.
going to have Rhino in it.
For like a hot minute. But but now
He's going to turn into
Yes,
Rhino.
Mighty Morphin Rhino.
it's Mighty Morphin Rhino.
Mighty Morbin Rhino.
Oh, there you go. It's Morbian time.
So
Morbin time.
I was like, okay, great. So we're just obliterating all the rogues. Wonderful.
So
So, yeah,
watch things burn. So that's.
Yeah,
So
listen,
we don't want Marvel to be able to use any of this.
So
Can we all just agree, every single one of us across the board, like stop seeing Sony superhero movies. Just
I've
stop.
stopped at Venom 1.
Oh yeah,
Like,
dude.
No, thank you.
Same here.
no, listen. My girlfriend, when we were watching Morbius, kept recording my reactions and putting them up on her Snapchat. She said, as the movie progressed, I just got visibly more and more annoyed to the point where I almost flipped the table because even with my limited knowledge of Morbius, like I was like, no, this wannabe Batman Dracula motherfucker with
Listen,
no
I mean,
logic.
It had the potential to be
Better.
decent. It really did, but like then, oh wait, that's right, Sony made it. So there you go. I mean, that's the story in and of itself. And everything Sony touches turns to shit. They're like the opposite of King Midas,
King Shitus.
Prince Feces.
Yeah, I like King Shitus better. I feel like it's better. King Midas.
Yeah,
King
of course
Shitus.
you would. You said it.
I know. Thank you. But no, but it's true. So that was one that I was like, boy, Brandon's gonna have such a good opinion about that. Thank you, Brandon.
Craven, like, whatever. Like,
Craving some snacks.
I'd rather clip my nuts in a car door for 40 minutes straight. I'm good.
Trying to think what else. I mean, there will be
quite a bit came out from
Black Mirror.
Equalizer 3.
Black
yeah.
Mirror is going to be releasing a new one. Yeah.
I saw that. That looks great. I was like, man, Denzel is just going to take out the world. And I'm like, hey, if it was going to be anybody, it would be Denzel. He's going to have a speech ready, and he'll just, like, damn.
Is this one going to take place in Boston too?
Probably.
Nice.
There's still parts of Boston that need cleaning up. So just remember, with the second he touches this watch, you're dead.
Parts of Boston that need cleaning up. That's adorable. Yes.
Yeah.
People in and around Boston call that Boston.
Yeah, can you tell? It was like, yeah, Drew, you're clearly not from Boston. I was like,
Yeah,
it's true.
parts of Boston. Yes. From the north to the south, the east, and the west. that whole section.
You just described Boston. Yes.
I've been trying to convince my mom because I have to be there. Like I have to live where she lives so that I can go visit and hang out with her pup and stuff. That we need to move to the East Coast. And I've had a lot of people that I've been interviewing on my shows. They're all from Providence or the Providence area, and I'm like, hey, we need to move to Providence, and she's like, no, just no. But I know that she loves Boston, so it's like, how about Boston? She's like, better,
It's
yeah.
expensive though.
But she loves Boston. Like she traveled a lot throughout her career, and it's one of her favorite places to be in the
Move to
world.
Salem, New Hampshire.
Mm.
It's just over the state line. You don't have to worry about all those pesky sales taxes. And then you can easily cross down. You'll be in Boston in like 45 minutes. Easy.
There you go, kids. Life hack by Power Brandon.
That's right. You know it.
Yeah.
I can even tell you some of the areas you shouldn't go to.
But just going to Boston, have a friend who can tell you smart things. Hey, Brandon, where should I avoid all of it?
Yeah. Any place where you see anyone that looks like me but sounds like a character from Good Will Hunting. Get in the car, Norm. Oh, jeez. The fuck?
Her name's Karma, so she loved it. It'd be like, Karma, we got the car for you.
Karma, come on.
Oh,
I got the Uber waiting out front. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph.
I swear, Brandon, I swear to God, if you start talking about ducks.
Talking about ducks?
Yeah, Goodwill Hunting, ducks,
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. It's not something I feel the need to revisit terribly often because I am literally like I've worked very hard to not sound like Will and Chucky from that movie.
I feel you on that one, Brandon.
Yeah, I am actually originally from Charlestown, so that's the area in Good Will Hunting where Bunker Hill Community College is, the community college that Robin Williams' character teaches psychology in. I grew up going past that building all of the time. And then, of course, Ben Affleck later on goes and makes the movie The Town, which is all about Charlestown and how their number one trade there is bank robbery, which is something I was well aware of even as a child living in Charles Newtown, as they called it. And, my father himself actually grew up on Bunker Hill, like straight up Bunker Hill Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I lived on Bunker Hill Street for the first few years of my life in Charlestown. I went to Catholic school there. I was like one of the few kids in the neighborhood whose last name didn't begin with Mick or O apostrophe.
I got lucky as a kid. I got to move out of Worcester for a year and live down in Georgia, and I think that helped to clear up any accent whatsoever. And then when we came back, my sister was born, and she sounds completely different from me and my brother. Me and my brother, no accent whatsoever. Her, it's park the car. I'm just like, come on, we can enunciate.
Hey man, can you say like, I parked my car in the Harvard yard? You some kind of fucking asshole?
Asshole.
It's also so weird when like I meet somebody like at my job and they're calling the South like, oh, I love your New York accent. I was like, I have an accent? And I'm just like,
I have a mole?
I have a mole? Does it move?
Where
I can
is
fix
it?
that hump for you. I'm a very gifted surgeon. What hump?
But I feel like you have a New York accent. I was like, this is just how I talk. Like I'm just disgruntled and sarcastic, and I don't have time for your shit. There's no accent here. This is just, can we get to the fucking point so we can end this conversation?
You do have a bit of a New York accent.
I'm aware.
I
You
can
say
hear
knowing.
It's all right. But speaking of names, I understand.
Besides cheeseburgers, what is the food you would most commonly find at a cookout on a grill? True.
Chicken.
Cylindrical. Put it in a bun.
Hot dog.
Hot dog. Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the country calls it a hot dog.
Hot dog.
Hot dog. It's awesome.
I hate you all.
That's all right. Listen, man, I mean, as much as ironically enough, the subject matter that we cover regularly on these shows,
New England
even
clam chowder.
with years and years of working, on stage, in my father having been a Toastmaster, I've worked very hard, and it's only when I'm very tired, excited, or fucked up, or around my extended family that it really starts to come out.
Mhm.
But I still have the hardest time saying superhero. I have a tendency to go really soft on that R in the middle. I'll say superhero.
Super.
Superhero.
Super
Superhero.
duper.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That,
We think you're super duper, Mr. Powers, sir.
it's actually one of the few things that
Mr.
made Aaron Taylor Johnson sound like he was from New York in the movie Kick-Ass, because he actually says superhero like that when he's
Right.
trying to explain who he is.
And that's what I
Okay,
said
Mr. Powers.
when we were talking Craven. I was like, you have time to make Craven, but we can't get Kick-Ass 3. I was like,
Well, I don't really think it's up to him.
no, I know, but still. I was like, we could have had something
I
great.
do believe that there's a whole production process that needs to go on there
Oh, I know. I'm
before
just bitter.
he signs on.
I know. I'm just bitter because
I know,
Kick-Ass 2 should have been better.
Say my last name with the accent. I mean, I get it. I mean, my name is primed for
Oh,
that
yeah.
accent. I mean, my name is Brandon Mark Powers, but I mean, first of all, growing up, and I know a lot of us, when we were in trouble, like we might have gotten called by our first and middle name.
Oh, yeah.
All three.
I was called by my first and middle name all the time. That was a
Oh,
thing.
no, Kim.
That's what we do in our family too. I'm always Carrie Lee.
Yeah,
See, my parents would have got a weird look calling me Jeremy Stoner all the time. They'd been like, Stoner? What the fuck did you name your kid?
my
name is too long. Plenty of time to run. My full name. Oof.
My mother was she grew up the oldest of 7, and her name was Carol, and her middle name was Jean, but they always called her Carol Jean growing up. And when I was young, up until the time I was about 8 or 9, I was Brandon Mock. Brandon Mock. And if I got Powers at the end of it, Powers,
Oh, you're fucked.
then I knew I was in fucking trouble. But the thing is, I was the only one of my parents' children. At that point in time, there were only 3 of us because my youngest sibling was born when I was 14.
Wow.
The other 2, though, their names didn't fit the
Name tag.
The cadence of it. So you could say Brandon Mock, or Brandon Mock, Brandon Mock, grab me a soda, something like that. But my other brother, my brother, he was Christopher Ian. That's a little harder to just
Too
roll
many
off
syllables.
Yeah. And then my sister was Siobhan Elizabeth. It's like
fucked up there.
Yeah, I mean, for Siobhan, I mean, my poor sister. It's like, oh, we're gonna make it so that we're gonna give you a middle name that has a Z in it, and then we're also just gonna give you a first name that absolutely nobody outside of Ireland is going to understand.
Siobhan, right?
When they hear it, or say when they see it.
They spell it Siobhan.
Siobhan, Siobhan. I actually got into a huge fight when I was in first grade, going to the Boys and Girls Club in Charlestown, because they were like, oh, okay, kids, it was like a daycare thing, like over the summer. And they had us draw pictures of our family and what have you. And I did that. And I put Mom, Dad, me, Chris, Siobhan, and the kids working. They were like, oh, what's this name here? And I said, oh, it's Siobhan. And they were like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. I was like very proud of the fact that I knew how to spell my sister's name, and they kept telling me no, and I got very, very upset, like enraged, and especially because I was 6. I didn't have the words to explain to them how fucking stupid they were. And so they had me like go sit off and calm down. And then when my father came to pick me up, they were like, "Mr. Powers, we have to talk to you real quick about Brandon." He was like, "Oh, what happened?" They explained to him. He was like, really? Can I see the picture that he drew? Oh. So what's the problem here? They said, well, he spelled his sister's name wrong, and we tried to correct him, and he lost his temper, and he was not a happy camper. And he goes, "Well, I could understand why, because he was right, and you were wildly incorrect. My son knows how to spell his sister's name. How do you think it should be spelled? Because this is right." And they were like, "What?" And he goes, "No, that's all right. So how long has he been sitting over in the corner? Oh, for an hour? Fantastic. Could I please speak to your manager right now? I need to speak to the person in charge." And those kids were never there again. Crazy.
Crazy.
What a wonderful story, kids. And the answer why is that nobody got for you. By the time they were done saying your name, they were already not angry. That's what
It's like counting to 10 at that point.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I was like, all right, I'm not angry. Just don't do it again. I'm like, okay, cool, got it. Lesson learned. Could totally do that again. What? No, nothing. You're having a great day. No, this for me. It was if they said my name, but if they said my full name, like they included the Catholic name I had. So if I heard Drew Matthew Peter Miles, like, oh shit, what'd I do?
Oh, hey, I'm Peter as well.
There you go.
Good old confirmation.
Yep. And then they were like, "Oh, why'd you pick Peter?" And I had to write the thing, and I was like, "Spider-Man."
Oh, see, I had to write it as well, but I did it because my whole paper was, I picked Peter because Simon Peter was the patron saint of big mouths, and they're like, and I explained the whole. Oh yeah, Peter was the biggest fucking mushmouth asshole on the face of the planet in the lore of Christianity amongst the disciples. He talked shit to Jesus. Jesus was like, "Listen, you're gonna deny me 3 times before the rooster crows."
No, I
like,
won't.
I would never do that, dude.
Come on,
you must be thinking about that other dude. He's like,
yeah,
sure, if you say so. And then as Jesus is doing his thing, they're like, "Hey, don't you hang out with that hippie?" No. Somebody else. "Hey, wait a minute, didn't I see you at the Sermon on the Mount?" No, not me. Must have been a guy that looks like me. And then the third person was like, "Hey, you're friends with Jesus." And he goes, and no sooner did he finish, then you hear like fucking Peter Pan in the background, and he's like, "Oh shit!" But then later on, he gets caught by the Romans, and he's gonna be executed. And as they usually did, they would crucify. This is before like throwing to the lions was like all the rage. They would crucify the followers of Jesus Christ.
Before David.
And Peter thought he was so fucking smooth. He thought he was so fucking smooth. He's like, "I do not deserve to die in the same manner as my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." And they were like, "You know what? We respect that. We're
going to do it upside down." So
then they just did it upside down instead.
Yep. So, that's how you turn the frown upside down. That's how that was coined.
He definitely made it worse for himself. And all he had to do in all of those instances was just shut his fucking mouth.
Yep.
Patron saint of big mouths, kids.
And that is why the Apostle Shaggy was stricken from the record, because he tried to use the "it wasn't me" argument, and it just did not work.
And now, kids, you have learned that the upside down cross is actually called the St. Peter's cross, and it doesn't represent Satanism.
And now you know, kids. So, Mid Week Geeks, teaching you things you didn't know about a religion that you probably don't know.
I don't have the more you know, obviously.
But it's because
you can't manifest it, but just pretend it's there.
That would have been really cool if you did.
Oh my god, imagine.
Kind of shocking.
But you have to set it up in a little video.
That's my superpower. That's all I can do.
Yeah, that's it.
What? Yeah, I make a rainbow star go across the screen. That's it.
Tryouts for the Mystery Men are this week.
But and funny, Brandon, you brought up something as like, because I remember when I was younger, looking back now, I was like, man, our childhood bullies sucked, or at least mine did, because kids would think they're so clever. It's like, "Oh, is your last name, you're Mr. Mallow? Oh, is your last name Marsh? Are you?" I'm like, this was not. And then people do that now, and I'm like, ha ha. Hey, you're so clever.
First of all, if anything, it would be a cool, as an adult, it would be a cool nickname, like Marshmallow. Like, I dig it, man.
I agree.
You know, like,
Mhm.
oh, why do they call you Marshmallow? I'm like, because I'm squishy and sweet. You know, like whatever.
Thank you, Brendan.
Pick a reason.
Well, no,
You know?
it wasn't even that. It was
But like, at least they were trying to use some kind of like play on words with that. Like they came at me, and I remember first grade. The big thing that was on TV at that point in time was Punky Brewster. My first name is Brandon. That was the name of her dog, and this was burgeoning sarcasm, smartass for me. I remember specifically in Miss Iana Coney's first grade class, Philip O'Neill turning to me and saying, "See, there's that O apostrophe right there I was telling you about." Philip O'Neill turns to me and says, "Brandon, would your parents name you after the dog from Punky Brewster?" I was like, yeah. They waited until I was almost 7 and a show came on NBC to name me after a dog. You want to try
I can
again?
see you talking exactly like that as a child, though, really.
I did. And it got me in a lot of trouble.
You
for
know,
a long time.
Corey, it's like, do you ever watch that movie by Howard Stern, Private Parts, and then he's playing himself? It's like, I know I didn't look like this. There's like, that's how I imagine the scene being. It's like Brandon, like Billy Madison. Brandon is an adult in a room full of children, and he's playing himself. You know, it's like,
Well, you know what the funniest part about it
Brandon
is like
now is Brandon 6 years old.
the follow up to that kid Philip O'Neill trying to give me shit about my name was that he was one of 2 Philip O'Neills in my class. So I was like, yeah, my parents waited until I was almost 7 and a show came on NBC to name me after a dog on it. Good job.
Good job.
You want to try again? And he'd be like, oh, you're stupid. I'm like, I mean, I might be stupid, but at least my parents didn't have to work out an agreement with another set of parents while you guys were both fucking being born. Like, oh, flip a coin. Oh, we'll just both name our kids Philip. Fuck the dumb shit, right?
We got what did they have to Spider-Verse this? Did they have to No Way Home this? Like, all right, that's Philip 1, that's Philip 2, that's Philip 3.
The only difference was that one had 2 L's in his last name and the other had 1 L. So that was it. Like,
oh my god, wow.
It's so dumb.
I mean, it's a significant difference.
That's much better than my bullies. The one I think in 6th grade they tried catching Hollow Mallow, and I was like, how? What? So I float? I don't get it. Like, your rhyme schemes are illogically horrible.
I feel like I have to
at
call
the
my
very
mom
least,
and thank her for
I'd
naming
even
me
like,
Jeremy.
I'd
Can't really rhyme it with anything.
At least, like, I mean, Cara Mallow, like, oh yeah, you got me. I'm a delicious Cadbury candy bar filled with caramel. I mean,
well, but it's a thing.
Try harder.
I was like, what Dr. Seuss villains am I dealing with here? Like, rhyme scheme motherfuckers. Like looking back on it, I was like, why did you guys ruin my childhood? You are so dumb. Like,
I was untouchable until high school, and then fucking Austin Powers International Man of Mystery came out,
and then you were dead.
Like, oh no, it's not even that. Like, first of all, if you're gonna offend me, you need my permission to offend me. Like, I have to allow myself to be offended, and it wasn't so much. I wasn't offended at like them making fun of my name. It was more like I was offended at the lack of originality and just the laziness of it, because it was always the same thing. Like, oh, you're related to Austin Powers? I'm like, yeah, you nailed it, man. I'm related to a fictional character. Wow. You must have been up all night thinking of that one when you figured out my name. You want to take a seat and rest? Don't do it too hard, though. You might crush your brains. I know that's where you keep them. And
funny.
Yeah, it's I mean, on top of it, I looked like Dr. Evil. I started shaving my head so early on because of male pattern baldness. Just absolutely ridiculous.
See, I got nailed as Malachi from Children of the Corn when I was a teen, and it just did not go away. I was like, I'm a redhead, yeah, sure, but not that.
See, that's a movie like you were talking about. You drove by that building every day that was in
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, and I drove by that same fucking cornfield all the time when I was growing up.
That's a freaky thought.
It's out of control. So talking about movies and stuff.
Back to the yes. I was we let's just get back on the highway, avoid the cornfields, and back to the movie.
So yeah, Flash.
I saw the Notice Awesome trailer. That looks amazing.
Thank you.
Savior of the universe. So yeah,
We're
I
trying
might-
to determine beforehand, but is it Supergirl or Superwoman?
Supergirl.
It is Supergirl? Okay.
It is Supergirl. Yes,
I didn't know for sure myself.
they've been saying Supergirl from
The
the
get-go.
onset of this whole thing. Yeah.
It's the movie that I'm going to break my no theater rule on. I'm going to go out to the theaters and watch a movie. It's going to be so much fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it looks great.
I'm
It does.
excited.
I love watching all the Snyder cultists coping so hard. They did. I saw it numerous times today. It was fantastic. My favorite thing. They're like, "Oh, this looks so fucking cheap. Looks like it fucking Netflix made it."
Netflix.
And then in the same breath, they're like, "So Snyderverse to Netflix." I'm like, which one is it? Is Netflix good enough to make this shit or not?
Honestly, what it comes down to is we talked about this yesterday, and now that Brandon's here, I'm also going to sign off in a bit because I was holding down the fort just in case. So, Brandon, you're here, so there's no need for two loud, angry nerds, very passionate.
Yeah, it's fine. Go, you stayed your hour.
But I will say, I think it's just, I look at this as closing the chapter on the Snyder universe and then opening the doors for whatever James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to bring to the DC universe. That's the way I look at it. And honestly, I do my best to respect friends of mine who are Snyder fans.
Why? Sorry,
but I do my best.
Let them down.
And I just ignore the.
Do they respect your position?
Yes, I've managed
really?
to. Well, also,
Sorry, let me
the
lift
fun
a
fact-
hat for this one.
fun fact: a lot of them are shorter than me, so I feel like I got that going for me. So
I mean,
so I
don't
just do
confuse
the.
physically looking up to you with like actually looking up to you.
Yeah, I just pull the Biff Tannen and Back to the Future. I just do the.
Yeah, and meanwhile, my ass is like Marty McFly. I'm like, hey, Drew.
Hey, what is that over there? Wham!
Oh, don't piss off Brandon. He might punch you in kneecap.
You need the kneecaps to stand. So here you go. See you there. But listen. With all due respect,
Stay for 2 more minutes, Drew. I'll be right back.
fine. But
Fine.
fine. But I just personally, it's just whatever. I'm interested. I'm curious. That's the thing. I'm curious to see what it's going to be about. But am I going to go to the theaters to see it? No.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just going to probably wait till I can watch it somewhere else, just because I really don't want to give Ezra Miller any money. So that's
I'm gonna give my money to the movie theater.
but-
If they happen to be at the movie theater, and they're actually, you know what? There's not even any cash exchanged. I buy my shit online. So
there you go.
but if I see them there, I will certainly let Ezra Miller know. I'll be like, MX Miller, just to let you know, Drew the Marshmallow, he did not come to see this because he was just like, no, that individual is just not somebody I want to contribute towards.
If you say that, you can tell him I think that he's a garbage person with a soul full of.
Their pronouns are they them.
My apologies. That I think them and all their collectiveness is a bunch of garbage. Yeah,
I can't speak to anything. They are going through the process of the justice system, and they are getting help for the mental health issues that they have been dealing with. It has come to light that certain things that were reported on him were exaggerated. Like parents that stated like, oh, they stole our daughter and blah 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 and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, they were trying to say, oh, they Ezra Miller did this, that, and the other thing. This was actually an adult person who left home and Ezra Miller offered to like pay for them to go to school. It seems an awful lot like once the girl herself came forward and was like, I do not know what my parents are on about. Like it
Okay.
seems to me like they're pissed because I left home and I don't really want anything to do with them because they suck. So I mean that all kind of came to light.
Okay.
The woman with her kids who were living at the property he had, for what we can tell, there were people that she was trying to keep out of her life. It seemed like her ex-partner or whatever. Ezra Miller offered her and her kids a place to stay, and they told people that she wasn't there because they were trying to prevent her from being found by the people that she was trying to keep out of her life. So, I mean, there's certain things that got seemingly blown way out of proportion.
Okay.
I'm not a law enforcement official,
Right.
nor am I a prosecutor or judge. I have no dog in that fight. I am just a huge proponent, though, of allegations are allegations.
Okay.
Until there is something concrete to prove one way or the other. Much the same case with Jonathan Majors.
Yep.
Right. It's a fair
an
point.
allegation is not automatic guilt. It shouldn't. That
Agreed.
should not be the case.
Okay.
And
That's a good point, Brandon. Thank you.
So and I understand everybody is entitled to feel how they feel, 100%. My thing is if you can, if one is capable of it, take feeling out of it and try to be as objective as possible.
Agreed.
Look at the facts, and I've stated it before. I'll state it again. I think that if somebody makes any allegations towards an individual or individuals, they should 100% be taken seriously. They should be thoroughly investigated. Those allegations should be thoroughly investigated. The person that they are, alleging, did or did not do a certain thing or things, it should all be thoroughly looked into. I do not think either side, the alleged victim or the alleged perpetrator, neither side should be automatically believed.
Okay. That's a fair point.
There's way too much power, and that goes against, like, on either side, if that's how it's approached, and that goes against the very idea of justice. The scales should be balanced, and that's how we want to approach it. Justice is blind, and everything is weighed accordingly as the process moves forward. So, I'm saying just because somebody says something doesn't mean it's true,
Right.
But it could be, and it needs to be taken seriously.
The Schrodinger's cat kind of thing. We don't know until the box.
Yeah, exactly. Is the cat alive or is it dead? Well, we're not going to know until we actually open up the box. The tricky part is getting the box open. And I'm not saying that to lessen anybody's experience. Nothing like that at all. I just think, there are instances where allegations are made and they are 100% correct. An individual perpetrated some awful / abhorrent crime, and then there are plenty of other instances where somebody makes allegations and it's not the case. And unfortunately, there are people out there who will use law enforcement as a form of harassment and try to destroy somebody's life. I've seen it, and not just with celebrities. I've seen it in the real world, in my own sphere. It's fucking crazy to see. And I've seen instances where allegations have been made against people, and I'm like, oh my god, and you want that feeling to take over, and it turns out like, oh yeah, they did that shit. And then there have been other instances where somebody has said somebody's done something, and it's like, oh, what a piece of shit. And then it turns out, oh, that person was lying because they were actively trying to destroy that person's life simply because they felt wronged in some capacity. So it's important to try to look at things as objectively as possible, vet the sources that you get information from properly. If it's coming from like the New York Post, don't fucking listen. Like
every day.
It's shit like that,
Well-
but
Well, on that note, I'm going to go. So, lesson learned, everybody. Make sure you know what you're talking about before you say something. Otherwise, Brandon Powers will literally put your own foot in your mouth.
damn straight. Now get the
Yum.
fuck out of here.
All right, guys. Be well, everybody. Guys and Carrie. Be well.
Night, Drew.
Have a
Be
good
well.
one.
Yeah, I mean that's actually something I mean the whole vetting sources. I've been saying that for forever and a day. Like if you can't find a reliable source on something, don't cite it. Just don't even talk about it.
It actually becomes a hard time trying to find topics for like nights like this and stuff. It's like, I don't know if I can trust this fucking website here.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too because with The Flash, there's all kinds of
According to the director, Ezra Miller was like the best actor he's worked with. So
yeah, they said they Andres Muschietti said that they're one of the best actors they've ever worked with.
Yeah.
And I mean, quite frankly, I'm not surprised to hear that. I do think that Ezra Miller is a talented actor. But I've said in the past too, like for anybody that may have actually been a victim of theirs, I hope that justice is meted out. And in regards to Ezra Miller's own personal situation, I really hope that they get and continue follow through with the mental health guidance and treatment that they need. And it seems as though they were finally brought to a point where they realized they needed it, and that's what they've been doing. They've been doing the work. So we haven't heard anything in quite a while, and considering the short amount of time we were getting a lot of stuff, like I'll take that as some light at the end of the tunnel for them. That's great. It's the same. It's like and I've said this before on the show too. It's like the same thing with Kanye West. I so badly want Kanye West to get the help that he needs. I don't think it's funny.
no,
Seeing all the stuff that he's been saying and doing, but I don't think it's defensible either. It's not something that you could reasonably stand in defense of and say like, oh well, he's just telling it like it is. No, he's really not. Like that dude, like some of the stuff that he's been popping off at the mouth with, he is this close to talking about fucking like lizard people that live under the fucking earth. You know what I mean? Like we need to pump the brakes on Kanye West in sensationalizing his mental health issues. And it's a real fucking problem. And I sincerely hope that somebody gets through to him. And to her credit, and this fucking kills part of my soul every time I have to fucking think of it. But to her credit, Kim Kardashian tried. She really fucking tried, man. And quite frankly, I can't blame her for wanting to get herself and their children out of that situation.
Safety first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, she genuinely tried to like get him help. And
it was years of,
and the fucked up thing is it goes to show you how effective the assistance can be, because when he first needed it and he was fighting it, it was they're trying to fucking kill me, they're trying to get me, and then he got help and he was doing really well again for a while, and he straight up was like, yeah, I was not doing well at all, and thank God I had people that care enough about me to get me into a situation where I was able to get the assistance I needed. And then he clearly stopped, the follow through portion and probably stopped taking the medication. And
it was affecting his creative process. I believe that's part of the reason he.
Yeah,
and I understand that, man.
Yeah.
My meds make me kind of dopey at times too, but like there's stuff you got.
What's the trade-off? You know what I mean? Look at the life he's leading now. and that-
Exactly.
don't you think he was? I mean, I would think that honestly, he was happier when he had a family and he could see his kids all the time.
Exactly.
You know,
It's nice to be able to create, but it's also nice to be able to move through life. And
I mean, it stifled his creative process, but I mean, he also created a family. So
yeah,
you know,
Yeah, I mean, balancing act. Like at what point is enough, and it's worth to just take a step back and focus on your mental health.
oh, I have those moments
versus,
all the time where I'm like, oh, if I could stop for like a month and it would really let the juices really flow and stuff and be good. But I know if I go into those areas, it's hard to come back.
oh, 100%. I mean, I made mention of the fact that I had law enforcement and shit.
Yeah.
You can see where they took the blood test. Oh, it hurts. The woman who did it, my God, you'd think I was talking shit about her in the parking lot. Before I went in. I mean, she was really sweet, but like at the same time, she just like she wasn't fucking around. Boom! I was like, God, I felt it all the way up to my shoulder.
Oof.
Yeah, it was bad. It fucking hurts still. But yeah, when the cops and everything showed up because the doctor's office was like, yeah, we think this guy's gonna kill himself. And I showed up, I was like, no. I mean, look at me, man. I'm wearing bright colors. I got 2 adorable dogs behind me. My beautiful purple-haired wife. I got enough to live for, man. I'm just mad. I'm just a fucking pog Irish dude who lost his temper for 2 seconds on a phone. And they were like, yeah, we get it. You know? But like, not everybody's like that. You know, they showed up and they were like, they didn't know what the situation was going to be, and for all they knew, I was gonna need to be sectioned. You know, and thankfully, these guys who showed up,
Listen,
they had the right approach. They really did. They weren't, you know, there wasn't like the hands like close to the holster, nothing like that. They were all probably just a few years older than me. It was two very average. I'm not trying to be mean, but 2 very average looking middle-aged white dudes, and then the guy who's clearly like the supervisor, a bald, a shaved head black man, who he was like, oh, he starts talking about like a medical issue he had, and he understood my frustration. And he was like, I'm the oldest one here. And I was like, you're the fucking oldest one here? Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I've looked like I'm a fucking substitute history teacher since I was 17. Yeah, I mean, these guys approached it with the right attitude, the right humor. You know, they were ready to talk, and you know, they clearly had the right training for such a situation. They were prepared for escalation, but they weren't. They were prepared for it on my end and what they needed to do to get me help if I needed it. There was no reaction regarding like how do I say, they weren't quick to be violent or just throw cuffs on me or anything like that. And I think
yeah, it's nice that they assessed before they took action.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to individuals who are kind of getting pushed past the point, you know, they can very easily be volatile and virulent in their behavior. And the more people we have like that who can approach it sensibly and with compassion, the better off we are. The better off we all are. And it's my hope. It maybe speaks to my naivete, even though like I am like only slightly jaded. But I do like to try to believe in the better nature of people, and it's always my hope that, you know, somebody like Kanye is eventually going to have somebody in his corner again that like legitimately wants what's best for him health wise and not what's best for them, in regards to him being in the spotlight or limelight. So fingers crossed that he gets the help he needs, that Ezra Miller continues to get the help that they need. And speaking about crazy shit involving the Flash, you hear about the fucking rumor about a particular individual showing up in this movie?
What particular individual?
Ew.
It's a rumor I read. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry, that probably sounded terrible.
Jesus Christ.
Felt great though, gang.
I was gonna say, yeah. Wish
I
I
haven't
could
been
do that
able
right
to
now.
crack my
Yeah.
back since I was a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, I may have an acid flashback in about 5 minutes,
Whoa!
but the rumor is, and I don't know how much credence I give it, that we are going to see a very well-known actor show up at some point in a quote cameo capacity. And that particular actor is Nicolas Cage, as the Flash is running through the Speed Force and sees like all kinds of different alternate realities and stuff. And he is going to be decked out as the Tim Burton Superman,
That's
fighting
cool.
a giant mechanical spider,
Interesting.
which is all reference to Superman Lives, the Tim Burton movie that never came to fruition, and the John Peters mandate that he wanted him to fight a giant robot spider at some point in the movie. I think as a movie nerd, as a cinephile and a comic book nerd, fantastic. I would love to see it. As
Joe Schmo will have
as
no
Joe
idea.
Schmo, why on earth would you fucking do that? Because if
Who
you
the
have
fuck
no
is
idea
Nicolas
of the
Cage?
history of that project, you would be like, why the fuck did Nick Cage show up in a Superman suit fighting a fucking robot spider? I don't get it.
They might laugh.
Yeah, but I don't
Well,
think they're really going
Not for the right
laughs.
reason.
Yeah, I don't think they're really going to be going for laughs in regards to that. Like, I think
I hope most people will be like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cool that they had Nick Cage voice Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies animated feature. That was clever. Did you
Well,
not know that?
No.
Hey, guess what, man? They have Nick
Teen
Cage
Titans.
voice Superman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Well,
Yeah, it was. I saw that in the theater, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god!" And also, funny enough, they also have Stan Lee voicing himself in Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
now I have to go and watch it.
It's the last movie Stan Lee was in that was released in theaters
That's
right
funny.
before he passed away. So the
DC
last
movie.
movie that was released in theaters while Stan Lee was still alive that he was in was a DC Comics movie.
Talk about
How's that for
Rock.
distinguished competition, Marvelites?
I actually really like that clip that you shared from Titans with the
Oh, dude.
Beast Boy going through the speed. That was so dope.
That was the red. That was
That was the red?
That's the red.
Oh.
Yeah, because Beast Boy, the whole thing with him, it's the same thing that Grant Morrison did with Animal Man and
Yeah.
Alan Moore had done with Swamp Thing.
green and
Swamp
the
Thing is
red, yeah.
connected to the green, which is all
Rot World.
plant
and all that.
life. Yeah, and the red is all living beings and the connections between them, all biological life. And Garfield Logan, he is connected to the red in a much more visceral way than even Animal Man was. Animal Man can tap into it and he can utilize the skills, like the talents of different animals, which allows him to fly and all strength of a gorilla, stuff like that. But obviously,
Beast Boy can actually.
Gar can change into these animals, and that's a rarity. He is basically the avatar for the red. And one of the things that's explained in this particular episode of Titans from last week is the red connects life through not just this world, but all worlds. So by actually going into the red, and training, he can travel to different realities. He just has to concentrate and know what he's doing. And he goes into the red in this episode, and he actually gets thrown into a couple of these different spots, but he sees a bunch of stuff. One is Grant Gustin's The Flash from the CW. But the thing I thought was super fucking cool is at one point Gar is like looking around, and one of those like kind of like bubble windows like kind of open up, and it's a bald guy. It's Grant Morrison, the writer of Doom Patrol and Animal Man and JLA, all kinds of awesome shit from DC. And he's holding a notebook with a drawing in it. And if you know anything about DC, especially in the past 10 years or so, it's the multiverse. It's the spiral of the orrery of worlds that he had devised of when it came to like the New 52, multiversity and all that. One of the tropes that started in Vertigo comics with Grant Morrison, I think it might have actually been Animal Man. Grant Morrison loves to break the fourth wall. Absolutely loves it. And one of the things he does that's a trope very specific to him is he'll have a character in the comic turn towards, like, say I'm a character in a comic and I'm talking to somebody else right now, but then all of a sudden, as the character in the comic, I become aware that you're looking at me, and I say, I can see you. He's had comic book characters do that numerous times in comic books. And when Grant Morrison shows up in Titans here, they turn to Gar. And by the way, Grant Morrison is also non-binary, so their pronouns are they, them. They turn and they look up from the notebook and they go, I can see you. Do you see me? And Gar is just like, hey. And then continues on his way. And comic book nerd Brandon was like, yeah, like I was like over the moon. And because the thing is, like, they've done that in another Grant Morrison based show a few years back. Grant Morrison did the miniseries Happy that they made into a show on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
Well,
that was pretty good. And the comic's pretty good too.
Oh, the comic I think is actually even better than.
Well, yeah.
You know, they should have just left the series as that one season. There was no need to continue it on.
I totally agree.
And I'm saying that as someone who likes Patton Oswalt and Christopher Maloney, but it was just a bridge too far. But the Santa in that first season, at one point, like, you're seeing everything from Happy's point of view. So the camera is Happy at this point. And Santa's coming out, he's all fucked up on meth or whatever. And he's in this alley outside of wherever they're keeping the kids. And he turns and then he goes,
Happy goes,
no. Yeah. Santa looks at Happy, which we are now essentially Happy, the camera. And he goes, I can see you. And he comes right at the camera, like looking dead at it. And I was like, fuck you, dude. No fucking way. I can't believe they snuck that Grant Morrisonism in here. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, Grant Morrison stuff has been incredibly important to a lot of the things that they've been doing in the shows, and likely what they're going to end up doing in the DCU for the movies very soon. Considering he Doom Patrol is based directly off of the stuff he did, as well as Flex Mentallo. And he wrote JLA for so long. That's why they tapped him to do the multiverse stuff, and the multiverse is going to be a big fucking
Multiversity
deal.
Was a pretty cool book.
Yeah, I actually
dug into some really weird shit.
I think it was fucking great when they did Pax Americana with the multiversity, because it's the Charlton characters.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Let me see if I can pull up a thing for you real quick. DC Multiversity. Did I spell that right? Versity, yep. Pax Americana.
Maybe I just never caught it when I was reading it.
Well, I mean, I caught
Or
it
is it
because
really in your face?
for me, it was really in my face because I'm a big fucking Alan Moore Watchmen fan, and I like Watchmen because of the fact that it's a commentary on comic books and the like. Like,
Correct
I'm
me
not
if I'm wrong. Don't Grant Morrison and Alan Moore have kind of like a thing against each other
yeah.
like
And
they're
that's
wizards of some sort, and they put like spells
Grant
in some of
Grant
their
Grant Morrison thinks that Alan Moore is okay at best. Like,
yeah.
he's like, yeah, he does some good stuff, but I don't think that he's like as great as everyone makes him out to be. Like, his stories are fine, but we need to stop acting like, and he's not saying like his are any better. He's just like, maybe pump the brakes a little bit. And I'm inclined to agree with him. Like,
We are
for
talking
real.
comic books.
Yeah. But yeah, if you know the history of Watchmen and what Alan Moore's plan was initially, he was going to take the Charlton characters, which DC had just recently purchased. That's Blue Beetle, The Question, Nightshade, Captain Atom, and Peacemaker. And he was gonna throw them in like, hey, what if they were superheroes and all this stuff happened, blah 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 blah. And DC was like, are you fucking nuts? We just bought these characters. We are not gonna have you put them in some fucking like rated R/X comic book and kill them all and shit and never be able to use them again. You're out of your fucking mind. And he was like, all right, then I guess I'll just go ahead and I'll make my some pastiches then, and I'll do that. And that's exactly what he did. So Dr. Manhattan was the pastiche for Captain Atom, and when I say Captain Atom, I mean like the original, like Nathaniel Adam, like the old school character. Peacemaker became the comedian.
Yeah.
Blue Beetle became Night Owl because you have Night Owl and Night Owl 2. There's Blue Beetle, Dan Garrett, the cop, and then Blue Beetle 2, who is a more affluent individual. He was born into riches, and he has hero worship for the original vigilante from the Golden Age, and he becomes the new version of it. The legacy is handed down to him after he befriends the original. That is exactly what Night Owl and Night Owl 2 are, based on Blue Beetle and Blue Beetle 2. The Question, Rorschach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's actually where Rorschach's first appearances too, is in one of the Question number 13. Weird.
Really? What?
Yeah, his first appearance.
No shit.
Comes out of one of the Question comics. I know.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's number 13. I could be off.
I never knew that. I'm not doubting you. It's kind of.
Oh no,
I'm saying that more like it's
just
blowing my mind. I didn't know. But if you know any of that history, and you read the Grant Morrison Pax Americana for the Multiversity when it came out several years ago, like the middle of the New 52 thing, I'll show you. I mean, it's pretty blatant.
I may be talking shit here.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, Rorschach, I thought was created specifically for Watchmen, but yeah.
According
So
to
this is from the
Question number 17. Actually, I'm sorry. Shit. It's the DC universe, not for his first appearance. You're right. Watchmen 1's first appearance.
But yeah, this is Pax Americana by Grant Morrison during the Multiversity. And I mean, take one look at Captain Atom there.
Yeah. Couldn't be bluer.
Well, not just that, but let me see if I can. Here we go. Oh, come on. Yes. Oh, really? I'm gonna do that? Of course, the one fucking part that I. Fine. You jerks. Oops, that's business stuff. Whoopsie. But yeah, he even has the symbol on his head. Like, you can barely.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you, I can't really do anything more with it there. and especially every single time I go over it, it's open image in new tab. How about them apples? Yeah, let's try that. Ah, ha, ha. See?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was Grant Morrison saying like, "Oh, yeah, you know what? I can do this story with the Charlton characters. So, go pound sand, Alan." And yeah, it was pretty enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I think we're gonna see coming out from the stuff that he did over time since the '80s when he first started working with DC, and I'm here for it. I think Grant Morrison is a very talented individual. Between Grant Morrison and Warren Ellis, I think you can get some of the coolest, trippiest super science stuff out there this side of a Venture Brothers cartoon. We'll see how that works out with anything Warren Ellis has done, because he's had some pretty nasty shit said about him the past few years, turns out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it turns out you maybe wouldn't want to trust him with any women
Oh.
that are trying to make their way into the industry. Yeah, that's the allegation. I can't speak to anything past that, but he's kind of been under the radar for a few years now, which sucks for me only because I absolutely adore his series Planetary that was done with Wildstorm. If you are a comic book lover, and not just comic books actually, but pop culture throughout the decades from the 30s and 40s all the way up to the 2010s, then and when I say pop culture, I mean television, comic books, pulp novels, movies, music. If you are into any and all of that, then Planetary is a comic book series that was made specifically for you. The bad guys in it blew my fucking mind. And then the guys who enable the bad guys is such a brilliant amalgamation of two concepts from two different things that I was just like, oh, I'd kiss this man on the mouth if I knew where he lived. But yeah,
I have so much reading to do.
Planetary, I'll tell you, Carrie. Planetary is only 27 issues, and
you could do that in an afternoon.
And on the plus side of it for you, it's already done. I had to wait 10 years because they stopped production at like issue 20, and it stayed that way for a long time.
That
sucks. My hope is that they, and especially now with all the superhero stuff that's like so entrenched in what we see regularly in the zeitgeist, that they can make a Planetary like series on HBO. And God willing, they get Woody Harrelson to play the main character.
I've been trying to keep up with things. Which I'm gonna bookmark Happy and Planetary. Is it the
Happy is pretty good?
Is it the Morrison 2012?
Yep.
Okay.
Happy,
donkey on it, or Santa Claus.
Okay, because there was another one in 2001 that came out. So
they I think they did a re-release of Happy. That's so you probably Grant Morrison. They probably reprinted it. Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay. I have to be
probably when the show came out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this right now. If you read Planetary, do yourself a favor. There's different collected volumes. Whatever it is you read, though, make sure to read issue 0 first. It was a special preview that was, I think it might have been in Wizard magazine, which I know is like a really old-fashioned sentence. But it was just like several pages, and I read that, and I was hooked 100%. It did exactly what a special preview should do. And without knowing anything else about what the story was, it just looked like it was going to be like kind of an anthology kind of thing. I was like, I am here for it. I will, this is a special preview. It has no bearing on the rest of the series. The character Elijah Snow, he wears all white, has white hair. He has kind of a southern accent that he clearly does his best to clip, but it's always there. And he is there with a young woman named Jaquita Wagner, who is a very, very, very fair-skinned biracial woman. She wears like a one-piece like action suit, and a long-haired Van Dyked like Gen Xer type, a guy. They just call him the drummer. Elijah Snow, we find out he has the ability to like freeze molecules in the air and in people, all that fun stuff. He's basically like Iceman, but doesn't turn into ice. Jaquita Wagner has the classic superhero powers: superhuman speed, strength, stamina. And then the drummer, he can read information and communicate with technology. So it's all about energy and tech with him. And they managed to find this really, really old guy in this issue 0. And I mean, this guy is like fucking 90 or something. And they're like, tell us about David Payne. And he's like, shit. And the guy, this 90-year-old, he's living in a secluded place. He has armed guards like watching over him, like U.S. armed guards. These people still manage to make it into his inner sanctum. And he starts telling them the story about this brilliant scientist during the Cold War who had started working for the U.S. government. He was the smartest person on Earth. Nobody had ever come close to the types of theories that he had come to. And he had devised a way to sort of rewrite reality. And he had been working, with the help and grants from the U.S. government, he was developing what they called a reality bomb, which would, in theory, be dropped on enemy territory and rewrite reality throughout the area and just completely eliminate the enemy, but leave all of the infrastructure completely habitable and able to be taken over. He was like, it was great. It's like 100% kill rate, and then we don't have to worry about rebuilding. It's perfect for spreading democracy.
Oh, yes.
And he's like, but turns out it wasn't just the U.S. government who was completely enamored of Dr. Payne. Turns out my wife was also super into him, and meaning they were having an affair. Well, one day she goes out into the test site where they're going to drop that reality bomb for the first time, and Dr. Payne sees her out there, and he freaks out. He flies out there in a Jeep, and he tries to save her. And he manages to push her aside, and the general, he had his hand over the button. He was like, no, because he knew that his wife was cheating on him. He's like, let this dude die. I'm fine with that. And he gets hit by the bomb when he goes to save the general's wife, his mistress. And the general's like, the thing is, he had all the math for this thing in his head. When I say he was the smartest man on the face of the planet, I'm not exaggerating. The best theory we can come up with is that as soon as the wave of the bomb hit him, he ran the numbers through his own head to process inside of the bomb's blast to create and make himself into something that would survive it. And then you only see, like, his hand is just on the outside of the blast radius, and the wife is like right there. She's like almost touching his hand. All of a sudden, his hand turns gigantic, gray, and has slight claws at the end. And he goes, when the blast cleared, he was maybe 15 feet tall. Every inhalation he took sounded like trucks barreling down the highway. We fought and tried to contain him across the desert for 5 months. And finally, we were able to drop him down a missile silo that he couldn't jump up, and left him there. He finally died of of starvation and dehydration in 1988, meaning he was down there for 30 something years before he fucking died. It's the Hulk,
Yeah.
but it's all done with just like little hints here and there and little changes to the story. Like, oh, it's not the general's daughter that the doctor was dating. It was the general's wife, so on and so forth. And they get their story, and that's it. That's, it ends with he finally died in 1988. And I was like, fuck you. All right, I'm in. Strap in, boys. We're gonna be visiting this one monthly. And they hit so many other scheduling deadlines that they needed to for other less passion projects. John Cassaday, the artist, Warren Ellis, the writer, and oh my god, the colorist, Laura. Oh my god, I always do this. She is like absolutely super talented. Her coloring on this book was phenomenal. Laura Martin, that's her name. Absolutely beautiful comic books altogether. It's let me see here. Here's a real quick. Here's one of the covers for what they did. That's Elijah, the drummer, is all the way back. He always has his drumsticks in hand, and that's Chiquita Wagner. You see the suit I was telling you about. But yeah, it's such an amazing story. And then once you get past like the 27 issues of the actual series, there's three crossovers that they did. One with Batman, Planetary Batman, Night on Earth. Then Planetary JLA, which is like super fucked up. And then Planetary The Authority. And the one Planetary The Authority has a really really interesting take. Yeah, it's called Planetary The Authority Rule the World. Really interesting take on H.P. Lovecraft in that one. Yeah, really, I'll say this too. Really plays into the bleed. The whole series, the bleed in Wildstorm, which is like how all different realities kind of bleed into one another. And that all dimensions are in a snowflake pattern of 193,036 different realities. There's a lot of accurate quantum physics that are applied throughout the entirety of the series. That's why I think the super science is mwah. And yeah, it's just the H.P. Lovecraft stuff, especially in The Authority one, I was like, whoa. And that's actually where I found out, because I read a little bit more into it. That's how I found out that H.P. Lovecraft was so vehemently racist.
A total piece of shit. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
My first two published stories are in Mythos books, but yeah, I had to explain to one of my good friend's daughters who, she's in her like mid-20s now, but a couple years ago she posted up something about like, oh yeah, that naming of his cat was ironic and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, honey, he's a piece of shit. Like this is one of those hate the artist, love the art, just separate the whole thing apart.
I get it. I mean, I said something recently about something similar about the Ender's Game series by Orson Scott Card. I love those books. Ender's Game, there's
movie
4 books.
Sucked.
That movie wasn't great.
No.
But the books are fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's a sequel series, which is kind of cool because the books with Ender, they take place in space past the point of the Formic War there. But the sequel series takes place at the same time as the other sequels in the Enders series, but back on Earth with the rest of the kids from Battle School when they have to go back to their respective countries. And it's fucking great, the geopolitical stuff, because all these countries, they were joined under a hegemon, one ruler, one leader for the entire world, and a strategos, who was one military leader for all the world, but everything's getting split back up again to individual nations. And every single one of these nations that sent a kid up to battle school gets that kid back. And now they have every nation has one of the greatest military minds who's ever lived. So how does that play into the politics of the world at that point? It's absolutely phenomenal. It's not so much science fiction at that point. It's like the result of science fiction type shit, but it's still it's great. It's so good. And Orson Scott Card is a fucking world class piece of shit. And I didn't find that out until years after I read these books. Thankfully, I can say, reading the books and having read them again to make sure I wasn't promoting something that shouldn't be promoted, his own personal beliefs, thankfully, do not filter through into those books. There's no statements to be made in regards to how he views the homosexual community and stuff, because he has been fucking outspoken in his disregard for rights for the LGBTQ plus community. It's fucking abhorrent. But thankfully, when reading these books again, I was like, oh, there's nothing there. Thank God. I can enjoy this. Jesus Christ.
Can you reread Harry Potter for me? Because I like those books, and I'm so fucking disappointed in that lady.
That's why fan fiction. That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's better.
Send me
written in
some good
cases.
stuff.
I've read a couple thousand, so I'll send you a couple.
You're insane, Kelly.
It's what I have to process. You guys each have your own things. Mine, I have to process words, and I have a word count daily that I couldn't sleep last night because I didn't read enough during the day. So I was up until like noon, and then I took a nap and then got up and then like, hey, want to be on a show?
I just wish that there were more writers out there like Brandon Sanderson who he
finished up the Wheel of the Time for me. It almost felt like Robert Jordan hadn't passed. Mind you, it took 3 books, but that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard, that he did an excellent job. But the thing is, Brandon Sanderson, about 13 years ago, he, much like Orson Scott Card, he was also a Mormon, and he was just like, oh, gay marriage, no, blah 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 blah, and he, instead of just digging in and saying like, I believe this, he realized like, this is my idea of it. And he started listening to other people, and he realized he was wrong. And he came forward and said, I was off base. There's no need for anybody to think like this, to live their life like that. We are all people. We are all deserving of love. And if 2 people, they fall in love and they want to spend the rest of their lives together, we should allow them to. There should be no question. And it's unfortunate that my stance originally was on the opposite side of that argument, but thankfully there were enough people that were patient and took the time to discuss it with me and really allow me to come around and see the points they were making and realize they were correct and I was wrong. So like, I wish there were more people like that could honestly say like, I fucked up. That was a huge mistake. And I never, because I mean, and he put his money where his mouth is too. It's not just like, oh, I fucked up and I was wrong. So, everybody should be able to marry whoever. No, he has actually actively been working with the Mormon church to be more accepting of LGBTQ plus, and has also been trying to work on more programs for that community at like BYU and stuff. So like he has genuinely been trying to do work for the people that, almost a decade and a half ago, he was besmirching to anybody that would listen. So, I mean, that to me, that's a sign of good character, that he was willing to stop talking and listen and absorb. If only we had more people, J.K. Rowling, like that. Please.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of that palaver.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was a lot of stuff that came out CinemaCon. We touched upon a couple things. Blue Beetle. I mean, we saw the trailer a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
I think it looks fantastic. I like Jolo Maraduena. I think that kid is poised to be a big star. And once again, I do think he is also very fortunate that he can grow a beard inside of 4 fucking days, so he won't have to worry about playing a teenager for forever. Like I said, he can grow a beard in 4 days, and like at the beginning of my sentence, he was clean shaven, and by the end of it, he actually had half the beard grown. Dune 2 had a trailer released.
I'm
I
excited.
didn't know about that.
I thought the first one was pretty good. I'd like to see where they're going to go with the series.
Well, they released the trailer at CinemaCon. They haven't released it officially yet. Yeah, I know. It's kind of a bummer to hear that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get anybody's like literally.
I live in Nebraska.
We got corn.
We have wind.
Go Huskers!
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I know. My scoutmaster was from Nebraska.
I live 10 blocks from the stadium.
Oh Christ!
Yeah. There's like
rah rah ree, kick him in the knee. Rah rah ras, kick him in the other knee.
Yeah. Dude, it's the Sea of Red. That is what they call it, because there'll be like a mass of people, and there's like what kind of cracked me up once was we had a guy who's protesting in front of the movie theater all the time who would dress up like Jesus and like carry a cross, like literally like this huge cross.
Damn.
And I was going to work one day, and through the parking lot, like he's trying to weed his way through, and there's just like, it wasn't Moses parting the Sea of Red, but there was Jesus trying to walk around without getting knocked over by a bunch of Husker fans. And
hey, buddy, don't you think you'd have an easier time if you were just carrying around an O instead of a T? Just saying.
What up, man?
Woo! Oh man, but yeah, I also I think that Barbie looks pretty good. To be perfectly honest,
I see John Cena's part of it, so.
Oh, really? I didn't even know.
Yeah, he's got a special character, and I forgot what the name
awesome.
of it is.
He's a Ken. He's a Ken.
Well, I mean,
got to be another.
There's
Ken.
There's several Kens in there. He's probably like original Ken or something like that. The funny thing is, I really hope they play up the fact that Ken has like nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
just underwear.
No, not just. I don't mean physically.
No nipples. Just
yeah, no. I mean, like Barbie has a house.
Yeah,
Ken's got and any number of careers. Ken's has
got a tennis
rollerblades.
Yeah,
in an open button-down shirt. Like he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a home. He doesn't have a mode of transportation. He's a fucking bum. I really hope they lean into that, because it's one of the things I used to tease my sister Siobhan about when she would play with her Barbies. I'm like, where the fuck does he live? Like, well, I mean,
Barbie's dream house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is Barbie's dream house, Barbie's Malibu house, Barbie's this, that, and the other thing.
That's Barbie's convertible too. I mean, he's walking everywhere.
Skipper has more fucking shit than Ken. Yeah, I did fucking deep cut. I'm telling you, as a fucking 41-year-old man, you can tell I had a fucking sister or somebody in my household that played with these dolls. Because Skipper, not everybody jumps to that one.
No.
That's not a play on words, but still, it works.
They have a sense of humor over at Mattel. If you ever get to put together a dream house, they send you the set of instructions that explain how horrible it's going to be to put this all together.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny.
But I mean, I think it's great that they have Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach having worked on this together, and Greta Gerwig directed it, because one of the first things I said when I saw that they were the ones doing it, I'm like, oh, this is going to have a very like satirical commentary edge to it. Like, I think it most comedically you'll get like a Brady Bunch movie scenario where it's very tongue in cheek about what the source material is. And when you see the amount of talent that's in this movie, it's hard for me to think that this is not going to be executed very well with all of those people in there. I mean, Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, chief among them. But I mean, you also have Simu Liu, Michael Cera, for Christ's sake, is in the movie. Which, if you don't like Michael Cera, I'm sorry for you. The
Michael
guy is so
Cera.
dryly humorous. It's great. One of my favorite things is like when he's on movies, like not actually on like the screen itself, behind the scenes, he acts. He continues to act, but he acts like an asshole, like an annoying prick, and he's so good at it. Like, he even showed up in the movie Knocked Up, like in the deleted scenes.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys ever saw
No.
that. Yeah, he does a whole scene with Katherine Heigl as Seth Rogen's character. He's just a prick. He actually did slap Rihanna's ass for real in This Is the End, and she didn't know he was gonna do it, and he did it purposely so she would turn around and slap him. The smack she gives him straight up across the face is real in that movie. And apparently afterwards he was like, "I'm sorry, I was honestly just trying to get a reaction." He was like, and I guess she was like, "Okay, that's cool. Just don't ever do it again." He was like, "Yeah, no shit. I got you."
Lesson learned.
I'm still a scrawny dude.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's come a long way from the little kid that
Oh,
was
yeah,
in
definitely,
Frequency, you know.
Oh, Tom has a cool comment for you guys.
Speaking of Barbie, let's see here. Speaking of Barbie, Mattel revealed a new Barbie doll with Down syndrome. Yeah, that is true. I did see that. They are
That's
going
awesome.
to be releasing their first Barbie doll with Down syndrome, and I think it's fantastic. One thing about Barbie that has been very prevalent, especially since it's kind of always been the case, but especially since the 90s, they realize like inclusivity is key. It's across the board what they are about. That's why Barbie was started to begin with. It was to show that
Girls can
be something other than a mother or a housewife.
Yep.
That's why Barbie always has so many fantastic and different careers. She has her own home. She has her own vehicles. Ken is not her boyfriend.
No.
Ken is Barbie's friend. You know,
They even stuck to that during the show. If any of you watch it, that show's actually kind of funny. I've had to watch it a few times.
Yeah,
with
I know
my kids.
I've seen your little one. I get it.
I swear it's not for me.
No, I've met the little itty bitty one. I understand.
But they do good with those shows. They're really funny. They keep the comedy, and they go with like the breaking the fourth wall all the time. It's
I love
for the
I
kids.
love
It's
wall breaks.
yeah.
I love that. But I also really dig on the fact that, especially with this movie coming out and them saying like, "Hey, here's another Barbie that we are making sure we're including another whole group that, for lack of a better term, like we should have included years ago, and that's always been their thing. Like Mattel and Barbie, Barbie was created by a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been women in any number of industries geared towards children. Always been women who end up fostering and promoting inclusion across the board, whether it's just for young women or racially, what have you. The same thing can be said for Sesame Street. It was a woman who saw that, hey, why isn't there any programming being geared towards like young kids in inner cities and especially young black kids? And that's how Sesame Street got developed. It's always women that fight to promote the inclusion and growth of children in different groups. And I think it speaks to honestly the fact that women primarily make up the profession of teachers. It's because they do pay a lot more attention to the development of children on a base level and really do understand, because obviously for a very long time, and even now, women have had to fight to get to certain points, and there's still that glass ceiling in any number of areas. So who better to look after other people that need to be included than the ones who have been fighting for inclusion and rights for time immemorial. And I love the timing of the Down syndrome Barbie being released, because it brings more attention with this movie being put out. And just within this movie itself, the fact that they lean into the different Kens and the different Barbies. I mean, Issa Rae as President Barbie, forget about it, dude. Like it's like they were like, how do we really want to make sure that Brandon Powers sees this movie? It's like, hey, you know the beautiful, talented black woman who had a show on HBO, and she's been in a couple pretty good movies too. You want to make her President Barbie? All right, tickets sold. I'm fucking in. Like I could look at Issa Rae's smile for days. Forget about it, son.
See, I'm gonna have to guilty pleasure it at home one night. Be like, oh, what are you watching? Nothing. Y'all, you leave me alone.
I saw you had posted either the picture or the trailer to it, and then the only other thing I've seen is on Reface keeps pulling stuff up. I have that app on my phone where you can stick your face in or do the voices and stuff. I paid for the Pro on accident, and then I just keep forgetting. But we have fun with my family. I make a lot of things with it.
Oh yeah.
But it had a bunch of Barbie stuff, and she was like, going to the party, going to the party, going to the party. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And so I don't know if that's like what's real. I'm assuming maybe probably not the swearing, but like, I don't know if they're having fun with what they have a little bit because they have the technology to do it, or if it really is she's just like, I'm so tired of being plastic. Oh my god, British plastic. I lose my mind. You know,
I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And for those folks out there who were scratching their heads like, they're not putting Aqua's Barbie girl in this movie. What a missed opportunity. I'm like, is it though? I mean, I think if you really pay attention to what the movie is and actually listen to the lyrics of the song, they do not gel at all. It is two very different things. Barbie as a character is all about
hey Barbie, want to go for a ride?
Yeah, it's all about empowerment and independence.
Yeah, very different.
Barbie girl is literally just using Barbie as a cipher for, like
male pornography.
Yeah, male sexual gratification. And,
yeah.
And the fucked up thing is, like, Mattel sued because of that song. And everyone who keeps saying this, I'm like, so no one like read a newspaper from like 1998 to like 2003? Okay, cool. Because it was just me. But yeah, it was a big deal. They really went hard, and the case was eventually thrown out. But the judge is pretty funny in that particular case, because their final judgment in dismissal was, we advise both parties, and this is a quote, we advise both parties to chill. They're like, the band, the studio, Mattel, everybody just shut the fuck up, go home, and forget this happened. Okay, deuces. That was that. All right, cool beans.
And yet Green Jello had to change their name.
Yeah, I know, right?
What a bunch of crap.
Well, I mean, yeah. I kind of get it.
But everybody calls gelatin Jello.
Yeah, but then when you say green jelly, it just sounds, it's like, that's not something that
weird.
That's not something Bill Cosby would try to sell to me.
You put it on lamb.
Why? Because it doesn't have crushed up pills in it. Oh. I saw him for the first and only time on stage. I was in like the second row at the Wilbur in Boston.
Spanish Fly.
It was the December right before all that shit came crashing down. I was like one of the last shows that he performed when people were still like, yeah, Bill Cosby. And
America's dad.
yeah, I interacted with him twice
Oh no shit.
while he was on stage. It was fucking great. And then like 3 weeks later, everyone's like, Bill Cosby is a fucking, garbage human being. And I was like, no, that can't be true. And then all this stuff came out. I'm like, oh, it's true.
Shit.
That sucks. That really sucks. I mean, still a great interaction on stage and still better than the one I had with David Copperfield, who tried making fun of my fucking name.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had to sign a thing, like big signature, and I have very nice handwriting because I went to Catholic school for years. I was like the only signature you could read. He was like, oh, Brandon Powers, who's that? And I was like, oh, hey. And he goes, any relation to Austin? And in front of the entire audience at the David Copperfield Theater in Las Vegas, I went, ha! I've never heard that before. And I got a bigger laugh from the audience than he did. And
that's our Brandon.
And at the end of the show, I was in the front row. At the end of the show, he walks across the front and he goes to like just kind of dap everybody as he goes by. And the way he was going from stage left to right, my wife was across, so he got to her first, and he touched her hand. I put mine up. He went whoop over it and then kept going. I was like, oh, all right, I can appreciate that level of pettiness. That's fine. I get it. I'm like, it's his show, and I fucking stole some thunder. It's his name on the theater, not mine. But still, don't make fun of my name, dickhead.
Yeah. Watch what you're doing.
Don't mess with the bull.
Don't try to heckle if you can't handle it.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking acting like a one-armed waiter. Oh, yeah, I can dish it, but I can't take it. Yeah. That one-armed waiter thing is that's for free. You can use that.
I like that one.
But yeah, so and aside from that, the other thing I caught was that Beetlejuice is supposedly getting a sequel.
And Wonka's getting a.
Is Michael Keaton involved in the Beetlejuice too? Is he like doing his
I don't know.
Ford?
All they did was confirm that a sequel is in development and that there was a logo at CinemaCon.
I don't know if it's necessary at all.
It's not necessary. It absolutely
don't
isn't.
See why Beetlejuice needed a part 2.
It's
because money.
Been how many years?
How many years? And
because people who love the movie will probably spend money to see it, and companies like money.
That's true. I've noticed that.
They do. They do like money.
It was such a well-made movie. I guess trying to just reboot it would be pointless. Kind of like the Wonka thing. It was just like it was already done. Perfect.
Yeah. The thing that's been frustrating for me personally is there's been talk about it again over the past year, and which is clearly what led to this being a thing now. I don't mind Jenna Ortega. I haven't really seen much of her to gauge her actual acting ability. I personally did not enjoy Wednesday on Netflix.
I didn't watch that, but You is pretty good.
I haven't seen You.
Yeah,
but
if anything, I can recommend. Yeah, that she's in the second season, and she plays a neighbor of the protagonist or antagonist. I don't know exactly how, but
the main
really
guy.
Well. Yeah.
Okay. But I saw her in Wednesday, and I can see I feel like okay, I can see that there's talent there, but I don't think that show for me personally, I didn't think it was done particularly well. I don't,
wasn't the whole show for me at all.
Well, I mean, the idea of the Addams Family is the contrast, the fact that they're this weird, ooky, spooky, kooky family, but they are still right smack dab in the middle of suburbia, normal, everyday Americana life. But they live their lives, and it all, of course, started with one panel comics done by Charles Addams, and it developed into the strip and then the show starring John Astin, which really defined the characters even further. And Charles Addams was head over heels in love with the show.
I
But-
gotta ask, have you ever? I've never seen it, and I just became aware that it's a thing. Tim Robbins played, not Tim Robbins. Sorry,
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry played a Gomez one. I've
It was
never
in the
seen
third direct-to-video Addams Family movie.
Oh, okay. I've
Addams
never seen
Family
it. Never heard
Reunion.
of it. I heard it was
gonna look it
really bad.
I think it's Addams Family Reunion.
That's really a shame.
Yep,
Yeah, I
1998.
was like,
Addams
Tim
Family Reunion.
Curry. Oh man,
Yep.
I was told do not even touch it.
Yeah, and you know, the funny thing is, the way that the characters and conceit was always set up was, you know, they're weird and macabre, but it's in direct contrast to the environment that they're in and the people that they're surrounded by regularly.
They're also very loving. And
Absolutely, they 100% love and support one another. You know, Gomez is in love with everything and everyone. You know, he's a man with a lust for life in the most entertaining and brilliant way possible. He is just seething with positivity, and it's just when I see Wednesday and they take it and it's like, oh, they met in a school for like special
Troubled
weird
teens.
kids, and then they send Wednesday there, and then she ends up developing powers. I'm like, this has absolutely nothing to do with the Addams Family. Like that is not at all. I mean, them sending Wednesday to a school away from everybody else in like their regular life, that actually is something that when you think about the characters, Gomez and Morticia would 100% fight against. They were like, no, our children go to school with everybody else. That's why we live here, because we want to be part of this community. They would not purposefully separate themselves in such a way. And then the adding of weird clairvoyant abilities to the character of Wednesday Addams, like, just not necessary. But Jenna Ortega, people have been saying like, oh, she could play Lydia's daughter. I'm like, you know what? If they do end up having it be Lydia and someone who's her daughter or possibly her son, you know, because you could go that route, considering, you know, you could do a mother-son dynamic instead of mother-daughter. That might be interesting to see, honestly. I hope Jenna Ortega doesn't do it, because this young woman should be given the chance to like do things other than all this dark horror-esque shit. And I'm saying that as somebody who loves horror and all that, for real. But like, stop pigeonholing her before she even has a chance. Like, we get it. She's been in some Scream movies, and she's been in Wednesday, and she was in You. Like, this is all pretty dark, psychological shit. You know, give her a chance. Maybe just let her be a character that, and I know this sounds crazy, smiles. I don't know. It's just like, and I'm not saying that in like a sexist, like, hey, smile, come on, give us a smile, baby. No, I just mean like, let her be like a normal human being that shows emotion. That's all I mean. Because I feel I've seen interviews with her. She does she did a really great job on Hot Ones from the First We Feast.
Oh, that's a
YouTube channel.
fantastic show.
Yeah, Sean Evans had her on a month ago or maybe 2 months ago. She was great. She's so tiny. Jesus, Marion Dozer, like, she is just itty bitty. But yeah, she blew through those wings too, like nobody's business. I don't even think she took a sip of water or anything. I was like,
no shit,
braver than
Thanks,
me, girl.
Yeah, I'd probably make it to the third one and be like, I'm done tapping out.
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. We're done now, right? That's the second wing, Brandon. I said we're done now, right?
You didn't put the first one in your mouth. You just breathed in.
That one doesn't even have hot sauce on it, but it's still spicy, man. Yikes! There's a lot of pepper in that batter. Ooh. Is this KFC? Woo!
Henry Rollins was brilliant on that. He's just like, I'm gonna get through it. What's your next question?
I love that shit. Like if you wanna see
That is some great interviewing.
a great way to go about researching and interviewing, I highly recommend just watching a shitload of Hot Ones with host Sean Evans. His research team they are unmatched.
Yeah.
I've not seen deep dive questions like the kinds that they come up with from anybody else, and that's what really caught my attention. Like the cool, like, okay, we're gonna do wings, and the spice, the heat throws them off and forces them to let their guard down a little bit more. That's a great idea, but overall, the quality of question that is asked, that something that has not been asked a million times before, and takes them by surprise. I mean, and for them to compliment him during the show. I mean, Paul Rudd, straight up, he's like, these are really great questions. Like, I don't get asked things like this. I mean, that was probably the first episode I saw. And that is just a solid example of good research and proper execution of the questions in and of themselves. But yeah, Jenna Ortega, she seems like a really smart person. I really do feel like there's a lot of talent there. I just want somebody to give her the opportunity to showcase more of it than just being like the creepy kid in the corner. Yeah. I think she has it in her, and she just needs that chance. I'm not saying put her in a superhero movie or anything. I mean, let her act.
We're remaking The Craft again, so she's probably going to be in that. No, I'm kidding.
Didn't they already do that? They already did that.
Yeah, they already did it.
Yeah.
I'll say, please no.
I like throwing those out there every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, they did do that. It was called The Covenant. It was the boy version.
Oh
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Who was in that one? Jesus Christ. Fucking
Didn't see it.
Yep.
Oh, it had the kid that played Warren Peace from Sky High. That's all like Sky High.
Fantastic movie.
I love that movie. I saw that movie in theaters. One of the things I really enjoy about the movie Sky High is that if you really pay attention to the soundtrack of Sky High, it's all covers of 80s songs. Yeah, they're all songs that were popular in the 80s from like pretty popular bands too. I mean, like they have a cover of Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears by some other band. I don't know. And also the amount of comedy troops and comedy troupe members that are in that movie is fucking ridiculous. I mean, you have Tom Kenny, and I can't remember the woman's name, but they're both from Mr. Show with Bob and David. You know who Tom Kenny is, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. Yeah, he was on
Hey,
Mr. Show.
Kids.
Hi, kids. Are you ready?
Aye, Captain.
And but he and one of the women from Mr. Show, they are briefly in Sky High. They're the couple that almost sees the high school squash down on the house they just bought. Then you have Kevin Heffernan from Broken Lizard playing the bus driver, and you have Kevin McDonald and Dave Foley from Kids in the Hall showing up as teachers at the school. And then of course you got some fucking phenomenal John Carpenter actors in Kurt Russell and Bruce Campbell, because he was John Carpenter's Escape from LA. I count that. And not to mention Cloris Leachman shows up. I mean, there's just like it's incredible. And Jim Rash, for crying out loud, as the prankster or whatever his name was, the little sidekick to Royal Pain. That was like the only other
wish
thing.
I had your memory. God damn, you're good at this.
Jim Rash. I mean, that was the only thing I knew him in, other than Slackers, starring Devon Sawa and Jason Segel, because he plays a TA in one of the courses that Devon Sawa goes in to like copy the answers on the test. Funny thing is, Nat Faxon also has a small role in the movie Slackers. He plays a nerd that is helping them cheat on papers that they need to hand in. They hand him a joint at one point. And he's got like the thick rimmed glasses and he's got like the slick parted hair. And he's like, they hand him a joint. He goes to take a pipe. Oh no, that does not agree with me. No, thank you. And when I saw that they won an Academy Award for writing the Descendants screenplay, I was like, son of a bitch. They must have like been friends even at that point in time. They got little roles in this movie Slackers, just as like, oh, okay, well, we are actors. Let's do this thing. And once again, that was what I knew Jason Segel from. I had seen that movie before I'd ever seen Freaks and Geeks. So I mean, there's a lot of talent that showed up in that one as well. But yeah, my memory is fucking ridiculous, Jeremy. You're right.
I'm gonna start asking you who the Foley artist was on something, or the gaffer.
I don't know I could go that far, but
that'd be
if I have an idea, I'm going to be quizzed on it. I will look it up.
Who did the catering in the shoot in Omaha?
I'm more of an on-screen guy for the most part.
There's just no way to stump you, though.
I mean, there definitely is. Just you have to pick the right or wrong questions, I guess. Let me see. What is he, Tom? I can see Jenna Ortega play a serious role as a lawyer or a no-nonsense businesswoman. Yeah, I can see that, but I still feel like it plays into the emotiveless thing that she was doing in Wednesday. And to my point, what I was trying to get across is I want to see her be given the chance to emote. I want to see her, play someone her age that's not worried about a fucking psychopath in a mask with a knife chasing after them trying to eviscerate them, or Tim Burton with his crazy hair behind the camera saying, okay, now don't blink, we get it, dude. We get it. Large eyes, no blinking, yada yada. I think she has the talent, capability, and just needs the potential to showcase that in something that is not trying to be like American Psycho 3. I say 3 because part 2 came out starring Mila Kunis and it was terrible.
It was hysterical.
Yes, because it was so deeply terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what they were going for, Carrie.
Well, no, but that was one of those that I love to hate. It was just so much fun watching that movie and just being like, oh my God, really?
I found out recently it wasn't even supposed to be an American Psycho sequel. It was a different movie. Yeah, it was a different movie altogether.
That actually makes it make more sense. Because the connection between the two is so minuscule and not quite right.
Like Patrick Bateman at the very beginning, like kills someone in front of her, and then it like warps her for life, and
kills her babysitter, and she goes off and tries to
and it flies in the face of American Psycho anyway, because I mean, by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh, he is a psychopath, but not even in the way that he thought. He didn't even do any of that shit. Like that's the craziest part about it.
She was a much more developed psychopath, I think.
I'm very glad I've never seen this. This just sounds horrible.
What, the second movie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's Mila Kunis. She's cute.
Yeah,
that's never enough reason to watch something. Sorry.
It's also before Mila Kunis really like found her stride in being in front of a camera without an ensemble to help do a lot of the heavy lifting. I mean, because it's easy to forget that Mila Kunis really was the age that her character Jackie Burkhart was in that 70s show. She lied about her age.
Yes, she did.
To get on, which does kind of show just on a base level her natural talent for acting, because she could convince their asses. But as she's gotten older and she's gotten away from that 70s show, I feel that she's done considerably better in the projects where it's her talent and someone else's talent, and that's what they're playing with. I mean, forgetting Sarah Marshall, she was excellent in that movie. Absolutely fantastic. I actually didn't mind her in the Oh my god. Which I always confuse these two. No Strings Attached? Or is
I
it
don't
Friends
know
with
that one.
Benefits?
Thank you. Thanking Friends with Benefits.
Friends with Benefits. That's the one she did with
Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She was good in that. It's little things here and there. And just as a person, she seems like a lovely individual too, which is always like a huge plus for anybody in any project that you ever see. But yeah, at that point she was still pretty young, and she figured like, oh, this is going to be like a smaller movie and we're just like having fun with like the dark themes of this. And then somebody had the brilliant idea to shoot an extra scene or an extra couple scenes so they could try to directly connect it to American Psycho and turn it into American Psycho 2 as opposed to the original concept, which was, going to be
Psycho thriller.
Something that had nothing to do with that.
so fucking weird. I hate when studios do that shit. But
It's kind of like
but
what you're
the
saying,
monies, the monies.
It's
It sounded
probably the
so
exact
nice.
same reason that they made Wednesday instead of being like, hey, why don't you have another creepy high school kid that gets powers like the 30 other Netflix young adult shows that would deal with the supernatural? If we name this one Wednesday,
The
we
monies.
can just the money.
Well,
We don't need to make up a different name. We don't have
Well,
to
here's-
create a family. We can just
Here-
take one that's there and fuck it up.
Here's the thing though. I mean, Tim Burton like developed it with Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, which if you watch Wednesday, you can actually see that Goff and Miller are the names on the window underneath where the therapist is positioned in town. These are the same guys that wrote Shanghai Noon with Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson. They also developed Smallville. They were the showrunners for that. If you'll note, every single one of those projects, Shanghai Noon, Smallville, Wednesday, each deals with the secret origin of characters that you otherwise had not really seen fleshed out before. In Shanghai Noon, it comes to light at the end that Roy is actually Wyatt Earp. In Smallville, obviously, it's the entirety of what leads Clark Kent to become Superman. And in Wednesday, we get the secret origin of Gomez and Morticia, as well as why Wednesday has these weird powers now because of her ancestor way back when. So, like, they love doing that, like, fleshing out a background that hasn't necessarily been done before thing. But Tim Burton doing this Wednesday, it may as well have just been fucking called Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children Part 2.
Oh God.
Like,
That
I
first
cannot
one
be
was
the
horrible.
only person.
I couldn't sit through that. I read the books, but I couldn't sit through the movie.
Oh, is
The
it?
movie was atrocious.
Yeah, it was not great. But
Yeah.
like Wednesday is that. That's
Yeah,
exactly what that
They
school
sucked
is.
me in with that trailer.
Well, I haven't
too.
started watching it because I've heard so many bad things. It's just like I do not have the time right now. I have so many other things that take priority above this and
Are you talking about the movie or the show?
the show.
Oh yeah, honestly, find a synopsis on YouTube or something, because quite honestly, it's not great. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I don't quite understand like why on earth she was cast as Morticia. I honestly don't think she
Bankable?
has like any charisma whatsoever.
Because she's bankable. You can
It-
attach your name
ish.
to a project and people might.
The name alone will bring them in.
I will say I thought it was cool that Luis Guzman was cast as Gomez, only because of like his own physicality. A lot of people, and I understand. I completely am behind. Making sure that there's representation, in most / all things for sure. But people have gotten it a little twisted with the Addams Family, because the thing I saw being put out there was like, oh man, it's so great that we're getting back to like more Latin representation with the Addams Family. We finally have Gomez, still being presented as Latin the way he always was, and now we have a Latina Wednesday as well. And I'm like, but you realize he was never a Latino character. Raul Julia just happened to be the best person that they could have cast for the movie. Like, he gave the best performance. He was the guy for it. It had no his being Latino had no bearing on his being cast as a character. He was just talented. And people straight up like, "Oh, why is his name Gomez?" Like, because it was a funny sounding name to Charles Adams. Why is the fucking kid's name Pugsley? Why is the uncle's name Fester? Why is the wife's name Morticia? And people legitimately like, "Oh, no, he's Latin." I'm like, "No, he really wasn't." I'm not saying like he shouldn't be. I'm just saying don't jump into revisionist history. You know, if you're gonna go based on everything, I'm like, you're like, "Oh, finally." It's like, so you just don't know about the show that everything else was based off of at all. Because you know the guy that played Sam in Lord of the Rings? Yeah, his dad. His dad is Gomez. You know, people just can't wrap their heads around it. But regardless of that, yeah, Wednesday was just a facsimile of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which in and of itself as a movie was just a generational loss Xerox of X-Men filtered through like 1940. It was not great, and Tim Burton, I think, was trying to make up for some of the shit that he lost with that movie, and for me it didn't work. I'm good.
I sat through all of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, or the new
Chilling
Adventures of Sabrina.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so
The newer one?
the one that they did on Netflix a while ago. In the classrooms, though, they used the same rooms over and over. They would just change for the set. They just change out some of the stuff. But there were like 150 original Clive Barker paintings that were hung on the walls at the school. He donated them for the use for filming. So that's what got me started watching, because I wanted to, like, Easter egg it, pick out the Clive Barker paintings that were hung up and try to keep track of things like that. And so, yeah, it wasn't great either. By any means.
I stopped watching.
It was just sad.
I made it the first season. That was it.
Yeah.
It would crack me up, though, how far they went to be like, we are so evil. Like, we do the sign of the cross upside down.
The satanic church's statue there.
I turned to my wife and I said, if I hear one more fucking person refer to their gifts as delicious, we're going to need to go to Best Buy to buy a new fucking television, because I'm going to throw my fucking boot at this one.
It was pretty bad, but I sat through the whole thing, so I'm not going to do that to myself with Wednesday.
I don't blame you. I mean, penance paid. I don't think you need to do that with anything ever again.
Saw all the Clive Barker paintings.
Well, the thing that was like doubly frustrating for me is that before the show was even greenlit, was even put out into the ether as being a thing that was forming, I was reading the comic book Chilling Adventures of Sabrina from Archie Horror, like Harvey Comics.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it was, but here's the thing: the comic book Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was done like in tandem with Afterlife with Archie, which is basically like The Walking Dead, but with the kids from Riverdale.
Yep.
And it all happens because of Sabrina, because like I'm actually, well, I don't know if people necessarily know this. I actually really like the Archie comics. I grew up reading them. I know an awful lot about them. It's just not something that comes up in the conversation very often. I hate the fucking show Riverdale. It can, and I'm saying that as someone
never seen it.
At first I was like, oh, it looks like they're trying to do like an Archie version of Twin Peaks, which, hey, I like Archie comics. I love Twin Peaks. And then I don't even think I finished the first season. I was just like, yeah, this is fucking terrible.
CW, I was just like, I can't
so
do
bad.
it.
But both
Perry was in it. That's literally all I know.
Yeah. But the thing is, Jughead's dog, Hot Dog, he accidentally got hit by Reggie. Reggie was driving his car and he hit Hot Dog and Hot Dog died. And Jughead is freaking out. And Sabrina, she wants to help her friend Jughead. And, I think Jughead actually goes to Greendale from Riverdale. And he's like, please help me, please help me. And so without her aunt's permission, she goes and revives Hot Dog using magic, and it makes Hot Dog into a zombie dog. The zombie bites Jughead. Jughead turns into a zombie, and the prom is that night. And Jughead goes to the prom, and it just spreads from there. And then next thing you know, there's like a group of survivors, and they're trying to make their way out of Riverdale and go find if there's anybody else out there. But the thing is, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, it's separate from that. But both of those comic books were written by Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, who is the guy who was the showrunner for Riverdale and Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. When they created the show Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, he stopped writing both of those books. And that's it. They just stopped. There was nothing else. And Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was like really dark, the comic, like fucking dark, and not just dark, but kind of fucked up too, like some weird like kind of dark demon incestuous shit happening by the final couple issues that were actually put out.
Yeah,
But
I read that.
it was, I mean, keep him, caveat emptor. You're not going to get a satisfactory ending, but when but everything up to that point, you'll enjoy, especially if you're a creepy kid like me. And it really leans into the whole like the dark arts, demon, devil, Satan aspect that they were trying to do, but just came across as cheap and campy on the Netflix show. But Afterlife with Archie, there were some really interesting concepts in there, and they actually did a whole issue. It was right towards like the last one or two issues that they actually put out, and it follows a group of young girls, and it's like the 20s, and they meet a guy and they're following around, blah, 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 and he turns them, the 3 or 4 of them, into vampires, and they all have a predilection towards music, and they keep performing, and every 10 or 15 years they reinvent themselves so they can come back into the spotlight. And it's Josie and the fucking Pussycats.
It was right there. I'm sitting there. I'm like,
I was like, I know.
Josie
I wanted to let
Pussycats
him say
coming
it. I'm like, I know.
Yeah, but like, I mean, they're not like trying to hide it, because in the let me see, Afterlife with Archie, in it on the cover, they show like the silhouette of the band. And
So they were in Riverdale too, right?
Yep.
The show. Okay, yeah. I watched the first.
I was
season,
so
think.
fucking pissed off because of that in Riverdale too, because Archie, one of his big things has always been like he wants to be a singer or songwriter, and going as far back as the 70s, I mean, they're a fake band, but I mean, Sugar Sugar by the Archies that song fucking slaps. I don't give a shit who you are. Like, it's a good song, god damn it. And but they took it and they gave it a weird remix and made it a song that Josie and the Pussycats sing in the show Riverdale. I'm like, that's the song that Archie should have written in the show, as they were trying to like push him towards being this singer-songwriter. I will say the young woman playing Josie in it, absolutely adorable. I liked her. I liked the actress. I didn't like how they made Josie in it. She was a real piece of work. the character of Josie. Oh yeah, here we go. Let me see. Open in new tab. Here we go. You son of a bitch. That's not what I wanted. Open
Open in
image.
an old tab or
No, I clicked on open link and not open image. So yeah, this is number 10 from Afterlife with Archie.
It has begun. Oh yeah.
This, you know what I mean?
Ooh,
So I was like,
nice.
oh, what's this? You know? But yeah, Archie Horror was the label. I absolutely I loved what they were doing, and I was so disappointed. I still am disappointed that they just never went back to it. They never tried doing anything more with either one of those
That
stories.
really sucks, man. They leave you
Yeah.
hanging.
And they
Yeah.
ended this series too with just like, what? There was no satisfaction at all there either. And you know,
I think the cleverest thing I saw in the first season or whatever of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina was the principal there, the one played by Michelle Gomez. The hell?
okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about though, Michelle
Yeah.
Gomez. Yeah. She had cookies where she was living, and the cookies were of Zelda and the other aunt and Sabrina, and the cookies in the house were all drawn and colored to look exactly the way the characters were in the original Archie comics back in the 50s and 60s. I was like, that is the
Very
cleverest
cool.
thing I've seen in the entirety of this show, and I'm done now. Like, which sucks because I love Michelle Gomez, and even her presence wasn't enough to continue on for me.
I like the guy who played the principal of the other school. Was it Blackstone or Black?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Oh my goodness.
I liked him, and then I loved what they did with the character of Dorian Gray. How they just made him running this like gentleman's club, but like not stripper gentleman's club, like just a real sit down and have some drinks.
Yeah, old school.
Yeah.
Have some scotch and a cigar.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I it's just it was.
But
it
the
was
rest
just,
of it was it
was
wasn't worth
frustrating.
watching at all. I kept waiting.
Harvey was like a fucking a void of personality from what I could see. Wardwell, Miss Wardwell, that's her name. I knew it was some goddamn play on words with spells and shit. Like Sabrina. Did you know that Sabrina didn't get a last name until the TGIF show on ABC?
Is that when they
I
gave
did
her
not know that.
Spellman?
That's when they gave her the last name Spellman. Before that, never had anything.
Poor girl. I don't even have a last name.
Hilda. That was Zelda and Hilda. Damn it. Okay.
I watched it all and I don't remember. I blame that on meds, but
Yeah.
and epilepsy.
Yeah. Yes, me
Oh,
too.
I don't have that one.
But Lachlan Watson. Oh, Richard Coyle, the Father Blackwood.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Coupling. He was on Coupling on BBC. He's a talented dude.
He's got that like kind of sexy small-eyed thing going on. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like he looks like Andy Serkis's handsomer younger brother. That's honestly like
I'll give it.
Yeah, if you were to say to me like, oh, that's Andy Serkis's like handsome younger brother, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks.
See it.
That absolutely tracks. But anyway, kids, it's going on 3 hours now, so we should probably wrap it up. We wanna say where we can find ourselves, or where people can find us. I mean, I know where I can find myself. I'm right here.
Where are you, Brandon?
I'm right there, baby.
Oh God.
So yeah, I mean, do we want to go round robin here? All right. Let's.
Do you want to control that?
I'll control. Yeah, that's fine. And since you asked, Yo-Yo, You go
Hey.
first.
Haha.
You can find me petting a cat. I mean, St. Laurent on Instagram is pretty much where like I am at the moment.
Fantastic.
And again, with a cat on my lap.
All right. Let's see. Carrie.
Just look up Carrie Sanders on YouTube. Well, I am there too, but on Facebook should give you all the links to everything else that I have. And I'm sometimes on the PBDC network where I have my own shows that have to do with storytelling. And every now and then I show up here on the Dorkening, and it generally is within about 5 minutes of starting the show. So
Sorry about that.
it's not the first time.
And Jeremy.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Courtney on Facebook, and please stop by Comic Book Lovers Buy, Sell, Trade, and Auction House. You can buy, sell, trade, and auction with 20,000 other geeks and nerds, and check out Splash Pages on YouTube. I would tell you to watch it live on Tuesday nights, but we're really trying to build our YouTube, so go over to YouTube. Find Splash Pages, watch a few episodes, like it, comment. Even if you don't like it anyways. It'd be great. It makes me feel better about myself. And come check us out here every Wednesday. Yeah, that's about it.
All right. I'm just going to put it back on Yo-Yo for a second. We got a comment. Aw, what a cute cat from Corinne Manuel. Say thank
So
you to
there's
Corinne,
Mika.
Yo-Yo.
Thank you, Corinne. I love
Say-
you, big sis.
Say thank you to the nice lady, Yo-Yo.
I mean, she's only so nice. That's my sister.
Oh.
I'm joking.
Oh, all right.
I
Well,
love you, Corinne.
that was still very nice, Corinne, and thank you for commenting. And come to me here. Hey everyone, my name is Brandon Powers, aka Powerful Brandon. You can find me in several places. First and foremost, if you want to come over to the Facebook group Powers Combined, check us out. We're a consortium of dorks, nerds, and geeks that like to get together and share memes, news, jokes, good times, and laughs to be had by all. Our number one rule there is don't be a jerk. If you violate that, you will be booted immediately. Other than that, if you want to check me out on social media, you can find me on Instagram at This Brandon Has Powers and Twitter at Brandon's Powers. And you can see me, aside from here, on Mid Week Geeks every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do a couple of podcasts here with the Dorkening Network. We switch off every other Sunday. The first one is called The Dork Night, which I do with our friends Justin Cooper and Leo Pond, in which we discuss and dissect all things Batman. It's a lot of fun. Out of the three guys on the show, two of them really love Batman and all Batman related things, and the other person is me. And the other show we do is called Comics Paradox, in which we talk about what ifs and elseworlds, all kinds of different alternate reality tales and takes on characters and stories you may already be familiar with. It's a lot of fun. We also cover story arcs such as Amalgam Comics or X-Men Age of Apocalypse, things of that ilk. And as I said, you can check those out every other Sunday when they're dropped. They switch off week to week, and you can find them wherever fine podcasts are broadcast. And aside from that, we are going to say good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping
Good
by.
night, everybody.
Bum, bum, bum.